Chapter 53-57 had reached the peak of dog life. Biming shook his head. Little Joe, you don't have to worry so much. Buttface was a ferocious beast, Cheong-chi. Although he looked weak now, he would have ways to save his life when the time came. If I don't force him, he will never improve. Although Yunchujo knew what Biming said made sense, she was still worried when she thought that Buttface was just a silly puppy. At this moment, Buttface in the beast nest was surrounded by several huge demon beasts that were drooling. Wait! Wait! I can't run away anyway, why are you so anxious? Well, I'm only so small, and there are so many of you. Can you discuss who will eat me? Buttface shouted. This guy thought that the little fairy would do this when she encountered such a situation. She would sow discord and make them kill each other. Dog 2 wasn't like other idiots who wanted to use force to solve problems. It only needed to use its brain and its mouth. Just as it was feeling proud, it saw a demon beast that was obviously bigger than the other demon beasts open its bloody mouth and pounce at it. The other demon beasts didn't have any objections. Obviously, this demon beast was their leader. Buttface's head immediately buzzed. Why did it not follow the usual pattern when it was here? Naturally, it would not sit still and wait for death. It wanted to escape. Unfortunately, it had only taken 2 steps when it was kicked back by a demonic beast. It just happened to land at the feet of the demonic beast leader. Yunchujo wanted to attack immediately, but Biming shook his head. Seeing this, Yunchujo could only watch nervously. Dog 2 felt that it was 80% certain that it would not survive because the demonic beast leader's bloody mouth was already within reach, and it would eat it in an instant. It did not expect that a mighty ferocious beast like it would die in such an aggrieved manner in the end. It did not want to die. If it died, wouldn't the throne of the number 1 spiritual pet be given to Goei Botsao and the others? If it died, wouldn't Peach Blossom, that infatuated female, be given to the little perverted dragon? No. It couldn't die. It still had to defend the throne of the number 1 spiritual pet, and it also had to be together with Peach Blossom's bunch of puppies. Buttface felt as if something inside his body was recovering. Just as the demon beast leader was about to bite him, Buttface's body suddenly enlarged, and with a swipe of his paw, he smashed the demon beast leader into a pile of meat paste. His huge wings flapped, and the other demon beasts in the nest swayed from side to side. The demonic beasts were scared out of their wits. No matter what, they couldn't associate the killing god in front of them with that weak puppy from before. What the hell was that? Buttface's huge eyeballs swept across them. Kneel down. Call me Grandpa. In fact, even without it saying anything, the demonic beasts were already so scared that their legs went limp and they laid on the ground. Forget calling them Grandpa, they were even willing to call their ancestors. However, they couldn't speak human language, so they could only make trembling cries. Dog 2 looked at the demonic beasts kneeling at its feet and felt very comfortable. It had been a long, long time since it had experienced such a comfortable feeling. Haha. Who else wasn't convinced? Who else dared to compete with it for the pet? Who else dared to compete with it for the female? Fuck it. Buttface felt that he was about to walk up to the peak of dog life. This fellow rolled his eyes and decided to teach that idiot Hun Dun a lesson. Therefore, he did not bother about those trembling demon beasts and waved his huge wings to seek revenge on Hun Dun. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-58, Kneel down and call me Sir. Yunchujo looked at Buttface, who was far away, and was dumbfounded. Prince Charming, I am not dreaming, am I? Buttface, let's go and take a look, Biming said. Although he thought that Buttface would display some instincts under danger, he did not expect it to directly turn into its original form, so he was quite surprised. The two immediately followed behind Dog 2, ready to see what it wanted to do. Dog 2 quickly found Hun Dun. Although Hun Dun had a green sweater as a protective color, it was huge and had obvious characteristics, so it was very easy to find. Hun Dun had just killed the demon beasts in the nest, so when he saw Dog 2 land in front of him, he couldn't help but be stunned. You have returned to your original form? Buttface proudly shook his huge head. You blind fool. Since you have seen it, why are you asking such an idiotic question? Hurry up and kneel down and call me master. Otherwise, I will pluck all your remaining long hair. Hun Dun was so angry that he kept twitching. However, his long hair had not grown out yet, so he was not a match for Buttface. He could only swallow his anger and say, "Don't go too far, or I will not let you go." Buttface never knew what it meant to quit when the time was right. He said smugly, "Won't let me go? Just because you're bald?" TSK, I've been holding back some words for a long time. I've never seen a fool like you. You're still happy with your cuckold on your head. You're so stupid. Also, it's not your fault that you're ugly, but it's your fault that you came out to scare people. If I looked like you, I would have found a piece of tofu and killed myself. Hun Dun was so angry that he was about to explode. Just as he was about to open his mouth and sing to confuse Buttface, he was slapped in the face by Buttface's wings. You still want to sing to confuse your grandpa? Your grandpa is so smart, will he let you have your way? Besides, you don't have any hair left, and your lousy singing won't be able to confuse your grandpa. Buttface said arrogantly. Hey Shinjo, who was hiding in the dark, twitched her mouth. This Buttface had fully demonstrated what it meant to be a villain getting his way. Seeing that he was no match for Buttface, Hun Dun felt that he should not be taken advantage of, so he roared in grief and indignation, "Master! Can I call you master?" Buttface felt extremely comfortable. This feeling was simply wonderful. Come, let's hear 2 more barks. Buttface said smugly. Hun Dun was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Just as he was about to do so, he saw Buttface's body rapidly shrink as if he had lost his breath. In the blink of an eye, he had turned into an earthen yellow puppy. Hun Dun was stunned at first, then he gritted his teeth and sneered, "Buttface, how dare you threaten me? Kneel down and call me grandpa, no, ancestor." Buttface looked at his short claws and felt a buzz in his head. Why did he change back? Where was the peak of dog life? Was it over just like that? If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have come to take revenge on Hun Dun. Instead, he should have gone to see the female flower addict and let her see that he was 10,000 times more powerful than that little lecherous dragon. What a miscalculation. Just as Buttface was regretting his decision, Hun Dun pressed him to the ground with one paw. Call me ancestor. Buttface had always been flexible. He bared his teeth and said obsequiously, Buttface pays his respects to ancestor. Ancestor, your green sweater is so beautiful. It makes you look even more majestic. Hey Shinjo, who was hiding in the dark, could not bear to look at him. Buttface probably did not know what shamelessness and moral integrity were at all. He was too shameless. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-59, For Season City Yunchujo asked Di Biming in a low voice, Prince Charming, why did Erguzi change back? I guess it's similar to how you stimulated your potential when you were stimulated. Naturally, it won't last long, Di Biming guessed. Then can it develop other abilities? It's hard to say. Its condition is different from other spirit pets. Let's wait and see. In the next few days, Di Biming and Yunchujo let the dumb cubs train. Although they were sometimes injured or even severely injured, their growth speed was also very shocking. Of course, there were exceptions, and that was Buttface. Since the last transformation, this guy had been sick. Not only did his body become very weak, but he also shed his hair. Seeing that it was about to become bald, Dog 2 simply did not want to live anymore. Was this punishment for mocking Hun Dun? How would it face the peach blossoms in the future? Seeing it like this, Yunchujo could not let it train anymore. In any case, at the critical moment, this fellow could at least stimulate its potential and save its own life. Yun Shujo originally wanted to let Dumb Meng train for a few more days, but on this day, she received a voice transmission talisman from the Lan family's ancestor. An invitation from the Divine Devil Hall had arrived. Hence, Di Baiming sent Yun Shujo back to the Imperial City and left. Yun Shujo immediately went to the Lan family's ancestral residence and met the ancestor of the Lan family. The ancestor of the Lan family directly handed the invitation to her. Yun Shujo took it over and took a look. The corners of her mouth curled up. The Divine Demon Hall had found a good gimmick. This Great Firmament event not only invited the various major factions of the Great Firmament continent, but the various major factions of the Divine Enlightenment continent would also send representatives to attend. Those who performed well could obtain the qualifications to directly ascend to the Divine Enlightenment continent. This pie could be said to be very fragrant. What could be more tempting than the bait to ascend directly? Even if they knew that there might be something fishy going on at the Great Firmament world, they would still go to the Great Firmament world like moths to a flame. What do you think? The ancestor of the Lan family asked indifferently. It's obvious that the Divine Devil Hall doesn't have good intentions. However, we still have to go to such a big pie. However, we still have to make the necessary preparations when we go back, Yun Shujo said with a chuckle. The ancestor of the Lan family also had the same plan. He immediately discussed it with Yun Shujo. In fact, the so-called preparations not only required them to bring more guards, but they also required them to arrange for a large group of people to be on standby nearby in case anything unexpected happened. Of course, they also needed to inform the Zen sect so that both parties could work together and feel more at ease. Apart from that, He Xingjiu secretly instructed Lang Yun and the others to use some means to obtain the identity documents of the commoners. They then rushed to the venue of the Great Firmament event in advance, the Four Seasons mountain range. After the arrangements were made, the ancestor of the Lan family also led the Lan family members to the Four Seasons mountain range. The Four Seasons mountain range was located at the southernmost tip of the Great Firmament continent. It was the lair of the Divine Devil Temple. Of course, this lair was only the lair of the Divine Devil Temple in the Great Firmament continent. As the name implied, although the Four Seasons mountain range was the same mountain range, the weather of different mountain peaks was different in spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The Flying Spirit Tool traveled for nearly 10 days before the Lan family arrived at the Four Seasons mountain range and entered the Four Seasons city. The Divine Devil Hall had been operating in the Four Seasons mountain range for several years. The surroundings were very prosperous, especially in the Four Seasons city, which occupied an area the size of 10 imperial cities. Yun Shujo looked around and asked the little black bird to pass on a message to Qi Ying. Xiao Hanio, we have arrived at your old nest. Do you want to visit again? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5360. Sneaking away. Qi Ying was lying in a corner of the spirit beast pouch as a corpse. When he heard Xiao Hanio's words, he did not even lift his eyelids. At this moment, his heart was as dead as ash, and he did not want to speak. He finally understood that this pervert would not let him go free. If he had known this would happen, he would have stayed in the ghost realm back then. Perhaps, he would already be together with Chu Mo. Seeing that Qi Ying did not reply, Yun Shujo did not continue to tease him. She had to keep this trump card well. It might be useful in the future. The ancestor of the Lan family had sent someone to book an inn in advance. Hence, when the Lan family arrived at Four Seasons City, they went straight to the inn to rest. Lan Luofeng came in front of Yun Shujo and said excitedly, "Little Jiu, this Four Seasons City is much bigger than the Imperial City. Let's go out and have a look." When Yun Shujo entered the city, she saw several snack shops and immediately hit it off. Taking advantage of the fact that the Lan family's ancestor was busy greeting people, she sneaked out of the inn with Lan Luofeng. When Lan Luomu and the others saw this, they also sneaked out together. Although Yun Shujo had adjusted her spiritual power to the first level of spirit extinguisher, it was still much higher than Lan Luomu and the others. They now followed her even more. Surrounded by the crowd, Yun Chuzhou swept through a few snack shops. With a string of candied haws in her hand, she was in a good mood. Little Joe, it's not time yet. Should we go in and eat something? Lan Luofang smelled the fragrance coming from the restaurant next to her and said with a little bit of appetite. Snacks were good for eating, but they didn't resist hunger. Yun Chuzhou sniffed, waved the candied haw in her hand, and led everyone into the restaurant. Since there was no private room, everyone found a window seat on the first floor. Although it was a bit noisy, they didn't really care. Soon, the dishes were served one after another. Everyone ate and chatted, and it was very pleasant. When everyone was about to finish eating, the noise in the room suddenly quieted down. Everyone was curious, and only then did they realize that a few people had entered the door. Leading the group were two middle-aged men. They did not look good, but their auras were very strong. The two of them each had two women in their arms. Both of them were good-looking, and there were a few beautiful maids following behind them. Lan Luoyen had always been well-informed. She lowered her voice and said to the crowd, "That woman in pink is Qi Tianxiao from the 5th house of the Qi family, and that person in purple is Mu Zixia from the 3rd house of the Mu family. It's really strange. The two of them have always been proud people. Why did they follow those two people?" Yun Chuzhou frowned when she heard that. She found that the two middle-aged men were both at the 5th level of the spirit extinguisher realm. What was the background of these two people? How could they make Qi Tianxiao and Mu Zixia commit themselves to them? At this moment, one of the men looked at Yun Chuzhou and the others. He smiled evilly at the other man and said, "Senior brother Lu, look at the three girls over there. They are really pretty, especially that oval-faced girl. Her figure is really not bad." The other man also revealed a malicious smile. "I like the one next to her. Although her figure is not good, her small appearance is really not bad." The oval-faced girl in their mouths was Lan Luoyen, and the other girl with a bad figure was Yun Chuzhou. Lan Luoyen was furious. She had always been proud and arrogant. How could she not be angry when she was insulted by the two men? However, Lan Luoqing stopped her because he felt that the two middle-aged men's backgrounds were not simple. It was better not to provoke them. After all, they might just be enjoying themselves and nothing would happen to them. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5361, 1000 Feet Sect. However, things did not go as planned. The two middle-aged men actually walked straight to the table of Yun Chuzhou and the others. One of them said with an evil smile, "The three of you girls are quite good-looking. From now on, you can be our concubines. Following us will definitely bring you benefits." Lan Luoyen was about to explode with anger. If Lan Luoqing did not tell her not to be impulsive, she would have slapped him directly. Lan Luoqing saw that Yun Chuzhou did not have any intention to speak. As the oldest, he could only say, "The two of you, please don't joke around. We are from the Lan family of the Imperial City. We have already finished eating with our ancestors. Goodbye." As Lan Luoqing said this, he called the waiter to pay the bill and wanted to leave. He felt that since he had already pointed out their identities, these two middle-aged men should not continue to pester him. Who would have thought that the two middle-aged men would look at each other and then reveal a contemptuous smile? "Are you using the Lan family to threaten us? What's so great about a mere family from a low-grade continent? It's your fortune that we've taken a fancy to you. If you're not members of the Lan family, you're not even qualified to be concubines. You can only be maids." The members of the Lan family were both angry and shocked. Hearing this person's words, could it be that he was from the Divine Enlightenment continent? Lan Luoqing suppressed his anger and said to Lan Luoyen and the others, "Let's go." Unexpectedly, the two people actually blocked their way. "You can leave, but these three girls must stay. Otherwise, you'll become corpses and stay here." Lan Luoyen couldn't bear it anymore and said angrily, "Who are you people? You're really going too far. TSK, this chick is even more adorable when she's angry." "Who are we?" Listen carefully, we're the disciples of the 1,000 Feet sect in the Divine Enlightenment continent. How about it? As long as the three of you serve us well, we might be happy and give you the qualification to ascend. This is much better than your hard work in cultivation. One of them said proudly. In their eyes, the people of the Heavy Cloud continent were like ants. So what if they slept with a few women? Even if they killed them, they would just kill them. A disciple of the 1,000 Feet sect in the Divine Enlightenment continent? The people of the Land family were immediately stunned. Although they didn't know how powerful the 1,000 Feet sect was in the Divine Enlightenment continent, it was definitely not something the Lan family could afford to provoke. No wonder Qi Tianxiao and Mu Zixia had given themselves to them. When the others in the restaurant heard the two of them announce their identities, they didn't even bother to eat. They all hurriedly paid the bill and left, afraid that they would be implicated. However, they didn't leave immediately after leaving the restaurant. Instead, they stood outside to watch the commotion. Yun Shuzhou and the others sat by the window. Moreover, the windows of this restaurant were all open, so they could see everything clearly. The crowd gathered in groups of 3 or 5 and discussed animatedly. I think the 3 ladies of the Lan family are most likely going to suffer. Although the Lan family is one of the 4 great aristocratic families in the Chongshao continent, they are nothing in the eyes of the people of the Divine Enlightenment continent. You're right. Even if the head of the Lan family comes, he might not dare to offend these 2 people. He might even have to hand over the 3 ladies. It might not be a bad thing. They have the qualifications to ascend. Didn't you see Qi Tianxiao and Mu Zixia? I don't think they were forced. It seems like they were willing. Even if they didn't get the qualifications to ascend in the end, these 2 people can give them some good things to make their cultivation more efficient with half the effort. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5362. The people of the Lan family are all idiots, right? When the 2 people of the 1,000 Feet sect saw the astonishment on the faces of the people of the Lan family, they couldn't help but feel even more smug. It was their good fortune that they were able to take a fancy to people from a mere inferior continent. Just like Qi Tianxiao and Mu Zixia, they only gave a little bit of benefit and weren't willing. They didn't even dare to fart. As for the qualification to ascend, they were naturally just saying it. They didn't have the right to make that decision. How is it? Do you feel that you're lucky to follow us? The 3 of you girls follow us up to the 2nd floor. The rest of you, quickly scram. Otherwise, don't blame us for being ruthless. Blue veins popped out on Lan Lucheng's forehead, but he still suppressed his anger and said, Sirs, my younger sister and the other 2 are engaged, so I don't dare to accept your good intentions. Goodbye. Lan Luocheng had already restrained his words. He did not expect that the person who spoke would actually swing his palm towards Lan Luocheng's heart. You fool. Lan Luocheng did not expect that he would suddenly attack. Moreover, there was a huge difference in strength between the 2 of them. He did not have time to dodge and his heart sank. It was over. At this moment, a hand reached out from his side and pushed him to the side, avoiding the palm. The person who pushed him away was Yun Shuzhou. Lan Luocheng was drenched in cold sweat. If Yun Shuzhou hadn't pushed him away, if he had been hit by this palm strike, he would have died without a doubt. The person from the 1,000 Feet sect didn't expect that Yun Shuzhou's light push would allow Lan Luocheng to dodge his attack. Moreover, the angle was very clever. Even the wind from his palm hadn't been able to hit Lan Luocheng. However, he felt that Yun Shuzhou was only at the 1st level of the spirit extinguisher realm. He reckoned that it was just a blind cat meeting a dead mouse. His gaze fell on Yun Shuzhou's beautiful face, and his eyes revealed an evil look. Little lady, could it be that you can't wait to leave with me? Yun Shuzhou's expression was indifferent. What are your names? The man smiled smugly. My name is Lu Yuanli. This is my junior brother, Lu Tianrui. Little lady, why are you asking our names? Yun Shuzhou's expression was still indifferent. Because I have to know who I killed. The two of them were stunned at first, then they burst into laughter. They felt that Yun Chujio was talking crazy. Putting aside the fact that she, a person from the heavy cloud continent, did not dare to kill them, even if she had the guts, she did not have the ability to do so. Little lady, even if you are boasting, you have to consider your own ability. Although I am kind to women, if you do not know your place, I do not have the patience to play with you, Lu Yuanli said with a sinister smile. Lan Luocheng and the others were also stunned, but they soon revealed worried expressions. The troublemaker in front of them was a pervert. Since she said so, she probably really wanted to kill the two people in front of her. Although these two people deserved to die, if they provoked the Divine Enlightenment Continent's forces, the consequences would be very serious. Therefore, Lan Luocheng advised, Little Jiu, why don't we just forget about it? Just scare them, don't really kill them. Lan Luomu echoed, that's right, Little Jiu, it's better to not cause too much trouble. Just teach them a lesson and don't kill them. Lan Luoji also said, Little Jiu, just give them a beating. Don't really kill them and don't hit them too hard. It'll be bad if they die. Lu Yuanli, Lu Tianrui, these people from the Lan family were all idiots, right? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-63, Good Women Don't Fight with Men. Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui felt that most of the people from the Lan family had problems with their brains. Why did they think that this little girl would kill them too harshly? What a joke. Although they had been suppressed to the 5th level of Spirit Extinguisher on the Heavy Cloud Continent, this little girl was only at the 1st level of Spirit Extinguisher. They could crush her to death with a single finger. The people watching outside also felt that Lan Luocheng and the others were talking nonsense. Although the Lan family was one of the top aristocratic families on the Great Firmament Continent, they were nothing in front of the forces of the Divine Enlightenment Continent, let alone killing them. Not to mention whether they had the guts to provoke them, even if they did, they didn't have the strength to do so. Lu Yuanli said frivolously, Little girl, you want to kill me? Come on, let me teach you the rules. When Lu Yuanli said this, he stared at Yun Chujio with lewd and evil eyes. He calculated in his heart that if this little girl really dared to make a move, he would take the opportunity to take advantage of her. Lan Luocheng saw that Yun Chujio's eyes were showing killing intent, so he quickly signaled Lan Luofeng and Lan Luoyen with his eyes. The two of them had no choice but to hold one of Yun Chujio's hands. Little Jiu, calm down. Calm down. If you kill them, the old ancestor will definitely punish you. That's right, Little Jiu. A good woman doesn't fight with men. You are a magnanimous man, so don't be serious with them. Let's hurry back to the inn. Yun Chujio slightly frowned, then looked at Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui, and said indifferently, you guys move out of the way now, and today's matter ends here. Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui laughed loudly. This little girl really thought that she was powerful? It really made people laugh. Lu Yuanli said with a fake smile, Little lady, since you are not willing to make the first move, then I won't be polite. As he spoke, he grabbed Yun Chujio's chest, his face full of malicious intent. Lan Luofeng and Lan Luoyen had long let go of Yun Chujio's hand. What a joke, they were not fools. Since these two people were courting death, then let Little Jiu send them on their way. As for the consequences, well, there was Little Jiu anyway. Just as Lu Yuanli's hand was about to touch Yun Chujio's clothes, his vision blurred, and the sound of wind came from behind. He was suddenly shocked and subconsciously dodged to the side, narrowly avoiding Yun Chujio's palm. How was this possible? This little girl was only at the 1st level of spirit destruction, but her movement technique was simply inconceivable. If he had not dodged quickly, perhaps that palm strike would have taken his life. He thought again, perhaps it was just a coincidence. He had been careless just now. As long as he was a little more focused, it would not be a problem to take down this little girl. However, after a few rounds, he knew that he was wrong, very wrong. This little girl's movement technique had reached at least the speed of the 8th level of the Spirit Extinguisher realm. He was not her match at all. Lu Yuanli could not help but feel a little anxious. If he lost, then he would lose a lot of face. If this news spread out, he would not have the face to see anyone in the Divine Enlightenment continent. He gritted his teeth and directly jumped out of the window onto the street. He said coldly, "Stinky girl, you really don't want to lose face. Originally, I did not want to take your life. Since you are courting death, then I will fulfill your wish." As Lu Yuanli spoke, he released his spiritual beast, and the surrounding people couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Lu Yuanli's spiritual beast was a huge spiritual tiger. Not only was its body mighty, but the most important thing was that one of the spiritual tiger's claws had actually condensed into a solid body. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5364 Would rather die standing. Lu Yuanli was very proud when he saw everyone's reaction. Although his spiritual beast only had a claw, its combat power was much stronger than ordinary spiritual beasts. He looked at Yun Chuzhou, who slowly walked out, and sneered, "Little lady, as long as you kneel down and beg me for mercy now and agree to be my concubine, I will spare you today. If not, none of you will be able to leave this place alive." Yun Chuzhou's gaze fell on the materialized claw of the huge spiritual tiger, and she muttered in her heart. When she was at the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly, she had materialized a Buddha lotus. It was pure nonsense. She did not expect that there was such a cultivation technique. This fellow suddenly thought of Dehua. Dehua's true form was Tao Tai, but for some reason, it had become her spiritual beast. Could it be that it had such an idea? When her cultivation reached a certain level, she could materialize its body? However, where did Dehua go? Maybe it was Go Wei Ba trick again. Guai Chao in her dantian. When Lu Yuanli saw that Yun Chuzhou did not say anything, he thought that she was afraid and became even more arrogant. What? Is the little lady afraid? Then hurry up and kneel down and beg for mercy. Yun Chuzhou came back to her senses and did not pay attention to Lu Yuanli. Instead, she said to the surrounding onlookers, "Everyone, I believe that everyone has seen what happened. Everyone has their own opinions on what is right and what is wrong. I know that if I offend these two scum today, not only will I bring about my own death, but the Lan family will also be dragged down. However, if I didn't resist, where would the face of our heavy cloud continent be?" It was true that our heavy cloud continent was a lower continent compared to the Divine Enlightenment continent, but this didn't mean that we were lambs at the mercy of others. It didn't mean that we could be wantonly humiliated. Everything in the world had its own laws. If the people of the higher continents could casually slaughter the people of the lower continents, then where was the Tian Dao? Where is the justice? Where is the justice? Even if my cultivation base is not as high as theirs, even if they are people of the Divine Enlightenment continent, as people of the Heavy Cloud continent, I would rather die standing up than die sitting down. I would rather use my own blood to defend the dignity of our Heavy Cloud continent. No one wanted to be trampled under the feet of others. Yun Chuzhou's words immediately resonated with everyone. Someone pulled at his neck and shouted, "You're right. You're absolutely right. If we don't kill these two scum, the rest of the people in the Divine Inspiration continent will follow suit. How can the people of the Heavy Cloud continent still be alive? That's right. These two bastards want to forcefully take possession of any girl they like. Do they think that our Heavy Cloud continent is a brothel? They're fucking bullying us. That's right. The universe is bright and clear. Evil people like them should go to hell. Kill them. Kill them." Almost instantly, the crowd became excited and they clamored to kill Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui. Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui did not expect Yun Chuzhou to incite the crowd with just a few words. They were somewhat afraid. However, thinking about it again, they were just a group of ants. Did they really dare to make a move? Therefore, Lu Yuanli shouted, "Shut up, all of you. If anyone talks nonsense again, I will kill him." The clamor of the crowd came to an abrupt end. Lu Yuanli could not help but sneer in his heart. A bunch of rabble. After a little scare, they did not dare to make a sound. Right at this moment, someone shouted, "Did you hear that? He called himself me. He is treating us like sons of bitches. Let's attack together. I don't believe that he would dare to do anything to us. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 5365 was fearless. Following that person's words, a rotten egg was thrown at Lu Yuanli. With someone taking the lead, the others did not have so many scruples. Even if Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianruo's cultivation levels were higher than theirs, they had more people, so what was there to be afraid of? Therefore, whatever rotten egg, rotten eggplant, and even boots were thrown at Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianruo. The two of them were so angry that they were about to explode. Lu Yuanli immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation and commanded the spirit tiger to pounce towards the crowd. As for how many people would die, it was not within his considerations. They were just a group of ants. If they died, so be it. Lu Tianruo also released his spirit wolf. His spirit wolf had already materialized a front claw and was also pouncing towards the crowd. At this moment, several spirit beasts blocked the spirit-powered giant tiger and spirit-powered giant wolf. Although their strength was not good, but fortunately, there were many of them, so they could still hold on for a while. The surrounding people reacted and also released their spirit beasts one after another, besieging the spirit-powered giant tiger and spirit-powered giant wolf. It was difficult for two fists to fight against four hands. Even if the spirit-powered giant tiger and spirit-powered giant wolf materialized a claw, they could not withstand such an attack and quickly dissipated. At this time, someone shouted, "Anyway, we have already offended them. We will not rest until we kill them." The crowd was already hot-blooded, so they could not care about anything else. They immediately rushed forward. Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianruo never thought that things would develop to this point. The first thought that came to their minds was to escape. There was no need to worry about firewood when there was life. They would save their lives first and then settle the scores with the Lan family and these idiots. If they wanted to escape, it would not be a big problem. After all, their strength was above these people. However, they forgot that there was still a scheming He Xinjiu beside them. The two of them were about to escape when Lu Yuanli stumbled and coincidentally knocked Lu Tianruo, who was in front of him, into the ground. At this moment, everyone had already rushed up. It was as difficult as climbing up to the sky for them to escape. 15 minutes later, the two of them had already become two corpses that were beyond recognition. At the same time, after everyone calmed down and thought about the consequences of this matter, they could not help but be afraid. Some even planned to escape. At this moment, Yun Shijia's clear voice rang out, "Everyone, you are not afraid of power and have risen up to resist. You can be said to be the role model of the heavy cloud continent. So what if it's the divine enlightenment continent? So what if it's the materialization of spiritual power? As long as we unite as one, we have nothing to fear. However, I know that everyone is still a little worried about getting revenge. Don't worry, if anyone tries to pursue this matter, you can just push the blame onto me, Yun Shujiu. I will bear the responsibility alone, and I will not implicate all of you." As soon as Yun Shujiu finished her words, someone immediately shouted, "Miss Yun, what are you talking about? We are men, how can we let you suffer alone? At most, we will just die. For the sake of the heavy cloud continent, we will accept it." That's right, what's the point of the divine enlightenment continent? It was those two who were at fault first. We are the right side, why should we be punished? Right, the people of the divine enlightenment continent also have to be reasonable. Miss Yun is not to blame for this matter, and neither are we. Those two people are courting death, who can they blame? Yun Shujiu looked at the people who were shouting the loudest among the crowd, and the corners of her mouth curled up. Although they had all taken the disguising pills, Yun Shujo knew that these people were definitely Lang Yun and the others in disguise. This fellow could not help but feel proud in his heart. Did you see that? He had to grasp the commanding point of public opinion at all times so that he could control the situation. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-66. Arrest Yun Shujo. After everyone's clamor had subsided, Yun Shujo said in a clear voice, "Everyone, in order to prevent people from confusing right and wrong, why don't we carry these two corpses to the Divine Devil Hall to explain the situation? I believe that the Divine Devil Hall will give us a fair explanation." This fellow had little Jojo in his heart. If the Divine Devil Hall did not deal with it impartially, it would definitely cause public anger, and it would be a good opportunity to tear off their hypocritical skin. If they dealt with her impartially, it would offend the 1,000 Feet sect. No matter what kind of outcome it was, it would not bring any benefits. Of course, if the Divine Devil Hall wanted to take revenge on her and wanted to harm her, she would not be so foolish as to allow them to deal with her. Since the matter had become so big, all the major forces would definitely go and watch. She did not believe that the Divine Devil Hall would be willing to sacrifice their efforts for such a big game of chess. The Divine Devil Hall had a hall in Four Seasons City to handle the affairs of Four Seasons City. By the time everyone arrived at the hall's entrance, the manager of Four Seasons City had already received the report. Manager, he, not good. The two lords of the 1,000 Feet sect have been killed. What? Someone actually killed the people of the 1,000 Feet sect? They are really courting death. Why don't you capture the culprit? Manager, he immediately stood up in shock. The Imperial Guard who reported the news said with a stiff expression, Manager, he, it's not that we don't want to arrest them, but there are too many people who have acted. There are hundreds of them, and we have no way to arrest them. Manager, he was dumbfounded. What the hell? There were hundreds of people who had acted? What did those two people do? They were actually beaten up? After the Imperial Guard explained the details, Manager, he was delighted. It was actually caused by Yun Shujo? Haha. He could use this opportunity to capture Yun Shujo and use her as a hostage to blackmail Di Biming. This was a great opportunity for him to make a contribution. Manager, he suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and led his men to capture Yun Shujo. Who would have thought that the moment he reached the door, he would find that the door was already blocked? Although Manager, he had never seen Yun Shujo before, but those who had a certain status in the Divine Devil Hall had seen Yun Shujo's portrait. Hence, they recognized Yun Shujo, who was standing at the front of the crowd, at a glance. He glanced at the two bloody corpses on the ground and immediately shouted angrily, Men! Take Yun Shujo down. The guards of the Divine Devil Hall were about to go forward and arrest her when Yun Shujo sneered, What? You want to arrest her without asking about the truth? Do your Divine Devil Hall also think that the lives of the people in the Heavy Cloud continent are as cheap as grass? Or is it because the main hall of your Divine Devil Hall is in the Divine Enlightenment continent that you don't care about our lives? Yes. As soon as Yun Shujo finished her words, someone in the crowd immediately echoed, That's right, they want to capture people without asking anything. It seems that the Divine Devil Hall and the 1,000 Feet sect are in cahoots. Right, if that's not the case, why did those two people occupy so many women, and the Divine Devil Hall didn't even say a word? I thought that the Divine Devil Hall did things fairly, but I didn't expect that they would actually help the tiger. It's really disappointing. Manager, he was a little confused. He didn't expect that these people would point the finger at the Divine Devil Hall. He said with a sullen face, I just want to capture the culprit, Yun Shujo, and interrogate her. After all, these are two people's lives. He calculated in his heart that no matter what, he had to capture Yun Shujo first. As for these motley people, they wouldn't make a name for themselves. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-67. Now knew what was the use of crying under the command of Manager. The guards of the Divine Devil Hall rushed forward to capture Yun Shujo. Yun Shujo was not stupid, she would not wait there stupidly. She shouted coldly, "Wait! Manager He, aren't you being too hasty? Yun Shujo, you have committed a heinous crime, why don't you surrender? If you continue to resist, then don't blame us for being ruthless." Manager He sneered. Reckless? He was still waiting to catch her and make a fortune from her promotion. Lan Luocheng and the others naturally wouldn't just stand by and watch. They immediately protected Yun Shujo in the middle. Lan Luocheng said to Manager He, there is a misunderstanding. Please wait for a moment. When our ancestor arrives, it would have been better if he didn't say this. After he said it, Manager He urged his subordinates to act quickly. He thought to himself, if that old bastard from the Lan family arrived, there would be no way to capture Yun Shujo. He had to end this quickly. Just as Yun Shujo was about to encourage the onlookers, she saw a commotion in the crowd of the Lan family. She guessed that the old ancestor of the Lan family and the others had arrived. This guy immediately felt more confident. Sure enough, the old ancestor of the Lan family shouted from behind the crowd, "Hold on." Manager He gritted his teeth and cursed the old man in his heart. However, even if he was here, today's matter wouldn't be settled so easily. After the old ancestor of the Lan family walked over, he glared at Yun Shujo. When Yun Shujo sneaked out of the inn, he was chatting with someone, so he didn't know about it. When he found out, his right eyelid began to twitch non-stop. His heart was pounding. Did that troublemaker get into trouble again? In the end, not long after, a guard ran over and reported, "Patriarch, something bad has happened. The young miss and her men killed 2 people from the 1,000 Feet sect in the Divine Enlightenment continent." The teacup in Patriarch Lan's hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. This troublemaker could really cause trouble for him. She had gone out for such a short while, but she had already caused such a big mess. Even if the 2 people she had killed were from the Divine Devil Hall, it was still fine. She had actually killed people from the Divine Enlightenment continent. Wasn't she purposely picking trouble from the heavens? However, she couldn't just ignore it. She didn't have the time to ask any more questions and immediately brought Elder Tua here. Manager He cupped his hands toward the Lan family's ancestor with a fake smile. "Master Lan, you've come at the right time. Yun Shujo killed 2 disciples of the 1,000 Feet sect. She deserves to be punished. What are you still standing there for? Arrest her." Manager He, isn't it inappropriate to arrest someone before the investigation is done? The face of the Lan family's patriarch was very gloomy. Normally, Manager He wouldn't dare to talk to him like this with his status. But now that he had something to hold on to, he could only suppress the anger in his heart. Manager He sneered, "Master Lan, Yun Shujo killed a disciple of the 1,000 Feet sect. This is not a trivial matter. So even if you come here personally, we still have to arrest this person first." The face of the Lan family's patriarch became even more unsightly. Just as he was about to speak, he heard someone sobbing. He turned his head and saw that troublemaker wiping away his tears. He gritted his teeth in his heart. This troublemaker. Now he knew to cry. What was the use? Sob, "Patriarch, I've let you down. I shouldn't have implicated the family for the honor and disgrace of the Heavy Cloud continent. I've let down the ancestors of the Lan family. You don't have to care about me anymore, just let the Divine Devil Hall kill me and flatter the 1,000 Feet sect. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 5368 Miss Yun was really a righteous person. When the Lan family's patriarch heard her words, he was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What did she mean by not implicating the family for the honor and disgrace of the Heavy Cloud continent? If he blamed her, didn't it mean that he placed the Lan family above the honor and disgrace of the Heavy Cloud continent? What kind of sin did he do to get into such a troublemaker? While the ancestor of the Lan family was still angry, he heard He Shinjo continue sobbing, Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui want to marry us as their concubines. I shouldn't have resisted. I should have gladly accepted them. They insulted the people of the Great Cloud Continent. I shouldn't have resisted either. I should have joined them in cursing. Sob, sob. If I had known that the temple of deities and demons was confusing black and white, I would have killed the two animals myself. At least I would have been able to vent my anger. The ancestor of the Lan family was moved and immediately asked, "What did you say? Do you mean that you didn't kill those two people?" Yun Shujiu was stunned and then said in a panic, No, yes, I killed them. It has nothing to do with other people. When those onlookers heard Yun Shujiu's words, they were very touched. Miss Yun was really loyal. Previously, she had said that she would bear the consequences alone. Now that she was about to die, she still insisted on saying that. It was really touching. In comparison, they were not loyal enough. They were simply cowards. Therefore, someone shouted, "Miss Yun, we appreciate your kindness. But you didn't kill those two people. You don't have to take the blame for yourself." Manager Miss Yun didn't do anything, so why did she become the main culprit? How can a muddle-headed person like you have the nerve to become the manager of Four Seasons City? Get out of here. You really want to add to the crime, so why don't you say anything? Miss Yun was clearly a victim, but now she has become a murderer. Are you blind? Manager was really dumbfounded this time. Yun Shujiu didn't make a move. He looked at the guard who informed him, and the guard braced himself and said, "Manager in the beginning, Lu Yuanli and Yun Shujiu had a conflict, but after leaving the restaurant, Yun Shujiu really didn't make a move. Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui were beaten to death by a group, so it's impossible to determine who is the murderer." At this moment, Yun Shujiu wiped her tears with her sleeve and bowed to the onlookers. "Everyone, since I have promised to bear the consequences alone, I should not have shown any flaws. I have let you down." The crowd began to clamor, saying that Yun Shujiu was not to blame for this matter and not to blame herself. Yun Shujiu's face was filled with gratitude. Then, she pointed at Manager angrily and said, "Manager we are all here to participate in the Chongshao festival. As the organizer, your Divine Devil Hall has the obligation to protect our safety. Moreover, this Four Seasons City was originally your Divine Devil Hall's territory. However, you allowed the two people from the 1,000 Feet sect to bully the men and women without stepping out to stop them. If you could stop them in time, such a thing would not have happened. Therefore, the death of Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui, you cannot escape the blame. You are the main culprits." Someone in the crowd immediately echoed, "You're right. You're absolutely right. All of this is because of this manager he's in action. He is the main culprit. No wonder he wanted to capture Miss Yun without any reason. So it's to get away with it. How shameless. He looks like a dog, but he harbors evil intentions. It seems that the Divine Devil Hall is not a good thing either. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 5369 We will not be participating in this great firmament event. Manager was completely dumbfounded. How did it become him and the Divine Devil Hall in the blink of an eye? What on earth happened? At this moment, Yun Shujiu signaled for everyone to be quiet. Then, she looked at the two women standing in the corner. "Sister Qi, Sister Mu, you were forced by those two beasts previously. For the sake of the safety of your family, you had no choice but to temporarily submit. If it weren't for the inaction of the Divine Devil Hall, you wouldn't have suffered such injustice. Don't you want to seek justice?" Qi Tianxiao and Mu Zixia originally didn't want to stay here, but Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui were dead. If they left on their own, they might be in trouble. That was why they followed them. At this moment, hearing Yun Shujiu's words, the two of them had mixed feelings. The reason why they gave themselves to Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui was firstly because of their coercion, and secondly, because of their qualifications to ascend. However, after they followed those two, they realized that they didn't have that kind of power. However, what was done, so they could only accept it and hope for other benefits. However, they also knew that once the Chongshao convention ended, Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui would definitely leave the Chongshao continent. When that time came, their reputation would be terrible. Now, Yun Shujiu had given them a ready-made excuse. As long as they agreed with Yun Shujiu's words, their previous actions would become a last resort. It was to sacrifice their own innocence for the sake of their family. Others would be much more lenient towards them. However, if they agreed with Yun Shujiu's words, they would imperceptibly put the Qi family and the Mu family on opposite sides of the Divine Devil Hall. It was really a difficult choice. In the end, the two of them gritted their teeth. If they didn't do it for themselves, heaven and earth would destroy them. No matter what, they had to save their reputation first. Therefore, the two of them covered their faces and wept, saying, "Sister Yun, you're right. If the Divine Devil Hall didn't do anything, we wouldn't have ruined our innocence. We had no choice." Yun Shujiu immediately pointed at Manager He with righteous indignation and said, "Did you hear that? Sister Qi and Sister Mu were both young ladies from aristocratic families and had a bright future and a good marriage relationship. Just because of your inaction, you ruined their happiness. Don't you feel guilty?" Qi Tianxiao and Mu Zixia had been hit by Yun Shujiu's painful words. They couldn't care about anything else and immediately cried out sharply, "Yes, if you could maintain the order of Four Seasons City, how could we be forced by those two beasts? It's all because of the inaction of your Divine Devil Hall that we were harmed. We came all the way here to participate in the Chongshao festival, but we encountered such a disaster. Your Divine Devil Hall can't escape the blame." Manager He never thought that things would develop into such a strange situation. How did he become the scapegoat? Moreover, it seemed that the Qi family and Mu family were going to fall out with the Divine Devil Hall. He kept wiping the cold sweat on his forehead. What should he do next? Yun Shujiu said coldly, "Since your Divine Devil Hall doesn't have the ability to maintain order, then it's fine if you don't participate in the Heavy Cloud Festival. Everyone, we don't need to be bullied here. We won't participate in the Heavy Cloud Festival. Let the Divine Devil Hall play by themselves." The crowd started to clamor as well. They were all clamoring to leave the Great Firmament event. The Lan family's patriarch looked on coldly from the side. He had mixed feelings. He had thought that this troublemaker had gotten into big trouble this time. He had not expected that with her glib tongue, not only was she cleared of her crimes, but she had also completely messed up the situation. She was really sinister. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:70 Kneel Down. At this moment, there was a commotion behind the crowd. A purple-masked man walked over with his men. Yun Shujiu cursed in her heart. What a bunch of despicable things. They were actually wearing masks on their own territory. When the Lan family's ancestor saw the purple-masked man, his pupils constricted. In the past, when the Lan family had formed an alliance with the Divine Devil Hall, it was this Qi Dong who had contacted him. Although he was wearing a mask, the Lan family's ancestor still recognized him. He did not expect that the two of them were still in a cooperative relationship. Now, when they met again, they were enemies. And the instigator of all this was the troublemaker beside him. Qi Dong had spies in Four Seasons City and knew the whole process of the matter. He glanced at Yun Shujiu maliciously and wished that he could arrest her immediately. However, under everyone's watchful eyes, especially with the old fox of the Lan family present, he could only choose to let the matter rest. Qi Dong cupped his hands at the Lan family's patriarch, then said, "Patriarch Lan, I'm really sorry. This matter was handled improperly by our Divine Devil Hall. Although Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui are people from the Divine Enlightenment continent, they can't bully people from the Chongshao continent. We will explain the situation to the 1,000 Feet sect truthfully and won't vent our anger on anyone." Seeing Qi Dong say this, the Lan family's patriarch couldn't say anything more. After all, the ones who died were people from the 1,000-feet-tall sect. Just as he was about to turn a big issue into a small one and turn a small one into a small one, he heard the troublemaker next to him say in an aggrieved tone, "Is it over with just an apology? We were quite frightened by these two beasts." Sister Chi and Sister Mu were also hurt physically and mentally. Shouldn't your divine demon hall have something to say? Besides, everyone killed these two animals for a just cause and helped your divine devil hall maintain the order of Four Seasons City. Shouldn't you reward everyone? When the crowd heard that there was a reward, they immediately became noisy. Wouldn't they be fools if they didn't take advantage of them? Qi Dong looked at Yun Chuzhou with a malicious gaze. If gaze could kill, Yun Chuzhou would have died hundreds of times. After a moment, he said coldly, "Manager He, compensate Miss Chi and Miss Mu with 3 million high-grade spirit stones each, compensate the Lan family with 1 million high-grade spirit stones, and reward the others with 1,000 high-grade spirit stones each." Yun Chuzhou pursed her lips and muttered softly, "How stingy. This little money is not enough to fill the gaps between my teeth." Chi Chiu Quan pretended not to hear her words. Anyway, there were plenty of opportunities to deal with her. After receiving the money, everyone was naturally very happy and full of praise for Yun Chuzhou. As for the God and Devil Temple, they could not be bothered with them. They were the main culprits, so it was only right for them to give some blood. The ancestor of the Lan family said a few words to Qi Dong perfunctorily before he brought He Xinzhou and the others back to the inn. As soon as they entered the room, the ancestor of the Lan family shouted, "Kneel down." Lan Luocheng and the others immediately knelt on the ground. They were extremely respectful to the ancestor of the Lan family, so they were naturally trembling in fear. Seeing that He Xinzhou was standing perfectly still and did not kneel down, the ancestor of the Lan family was even more furious. "Little Zhou, why aren't you kneeling?" He Xinzhou moved a chair and placed it in front of the ancestor of the Lan family. She bared her white teeth and said, "Ancestor, I'm moving a chair for you, aren't I? Come, sit down and scold us. Don't tire yourself out. Ancestor, it's all thanks to you that you arrived in time this time. Otherwise, our lives would have been over. You really love us too much. To be able to become your junior is simply a blessing that we have cultivated for 8 lifetimes." The corners of Lan Luocheng and the others' eyes twitched. Little Jiu was really bold. She actually dared to flatter at this time? Wasn't she afraid that she would smack the horse's hooves? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5371, The Messier. The better. The Lan family's patriarch glared at the cheeky He Xinzhou before he sat down on the chair. He Xinzhou obediently kneeled beside Lan Luofang. This fellow kneeled without any psychological pressure. After all, face was not his livelihood. Moreover, this old fox was almost 1,000 years old. It was reasonable for her to kneel. After being interrupted by Yun Chuzhou, the anger of the Lan family's patriarch dissipated a little. He said with a cold face, "How dare you? It's one thing for you to go out behind my back, but you actually caused such a big trouble. Do you know your mistake?" Before the others could say anything, He Xinzhou said with a sincere face, "Patriarch, you taught us that we were wrong. We were very wrong. We shouldn't have sneaked away, we shouldn't have provoked the people of the 1,000-feet sect, and we shouldn't have clashed with the people of the Divine Devil Hall. We have let down your usual teachings, and we have let down your expectations of us. We won't dare to do it again. We will definitely correct our mistakes and learn from our mistakes. Cultivate well and glorify the family of the Lan family, Lan family's forefather." The Lan family's patriarch glared at Yun Chuzhou, who was talking non-stop. For a moment, he did not know what to say. Everything that he could say had been said by this troublemaker. He Xinzhou bared her little white teeth. "Patriarch, we all understand this logic, but those two bastards from the 1,000-feet sect actually tried to snatch us sisters as concubines. Cousin Luo Cheng tried to negotiate with them nicely, but they actually wanted to kill cousin Luo Cheng. I couldn't bear it any longer, so I argued with him a little. Besides, I was afraid of getting into trouble. In the end, I didn't do it myself and tricked those onlookers into beating them to death. The Lan family's forefather snorted. Even so, do you think that the 1,000 Feet sect will let it go? Forefather, although I don't know much about the Divine Enlightenment continent and the 1,000 Feet sect strength, judging from the cultivation of those two, the 1,000 Feet sect strength shouldn't be that great. Moreover, if the 1,000 Feet sect is really difficult to deal with, the people of the Divine Devil Hall won't be able to shoulder this matter so easily. Taking a step back, even if the 1,000 Feet sect wants to make things difficult for us, haven't I dragged the Qi family and the Mu family into the water? At that time, if we stir up trouble again, the 1,000 Feet sect won't dare to do anything to us. No matter how powerful the people of the Divine Enlightenment continent are, after their cultivation bases are suppressed in the Heavy Cloud continent, they will at most be at the 9th layer of Spirit Extinguisher realm. Chapter 5372. He was a serious monk. The Lan family had a good relationship with the Zen sect, so Xian Hui naturally didn't like the Lan family. However, they hadn't fallen out with each other yet, so they had to be polite. Moreover, when he was in the bitter Zen sect, the ancestor of the Lan family had helped him subdue Xian Ji, so he had to say hello to Xian Ji. After exchanging a few words, Xian Hui remembered the news he had received yesterday and said with a bit of inquiry. Master Lan, I heard that your Lan family provoked the 1,000 Feet sect in the Divine Enlightenment continent yesterday? And even caused trouble in front of the Divine Devil Hall? Even the guardian of the Divine Devil Hall, Qi Dong, was alarmed. The Lan family's patriarch didn't want to discuss this matter with Xian Hui too much and said indifferently, "It's not a matter of provoking. It's just the negligence of the Divine Devil Hall." Xian Hui said with a fake smile under her skin, "It's not the Divine Devil Hall's fault. After all, the other forces are all safe and sound. Only your Lan family has caused trouble." The face of the Lan family's patriarch darkened slightly. Was this Xian Hui really looking for trouble? At this time, Yun Shuzhou walked forward and bowed. Sect Master Xian Hui, I have a gatha that I don't know how to explain. I heard that you are an eminent monk who has attained the Tao. May I take the liberty to ask you to help me explain a little? Regardless of whether it was the 10,000 Buddha's grand meeting or the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds, Yun Shuzhou had appeared as the lonely little monk. Therefore, Xian Hui had never met Yun Shuzhou. However, the bitter Zen sect had dealings with the Divine Devil Hall, so he had seen Yun Shuzhou's portrait. He thought that this little girl was bold enough to take the initiative to run to the Divine Devil Hall's territory. Logically speaking, when he was talking to the Lan family's ancestor, it was not a junior's place to interrupt. However, when he saw that Yun Shuzhou called him an eminent monk with a very pious attitude, he said in a benevolent manner, "Speak. There is a saying that the tree wants to be quiet, but the wind does not stop." Junior really does not understand why someone would be hit by a leaf and not blame the violent wind of the culprit, but instead resent the innocent leaf. I hope that you can explain some of my doubts, Yun Shuzhou asked with a puzzled look. Xian Hui, he was not a fool, so he naturally understood that Yun Shuzhou was referring to the mulberry tree and scolding the locust tree. What gatha? She was using words to refute him. This wretched girl was as hateful as that dead lone. They were both equally sharp-tongued. However, he also remembered that Lone was the reincarnation of a Buddha. If he scolded him, he might suffer retribution, so he quickly chanted the name of Buddha several times to atone for his sins. When the Lan family's patriarch saw that Xian Hui's old face was very ugly, he could not help but feel relieved. However, he also knew the principle of quitting when the time was right. He berated Yun Shuzhou, "Sect leader Xian Hui has a lot of affairs to attend to every day. How could he have the time to give you such a shallow explanation? Back off now." Xian Hui was so angry that she almost died. Such a shallow explanation? This old thing was obviously also pointing at the mulberry tree and cursing the locust tree. The old man and the young man were not things. However, he could only go down the slope. Otherwise, how could he explain that the tree wanted to be quiet but the wind would not stop? Therefore, he said with a stiff face, "Master Lon, I have just entered the city. I still have things to do. Goodbye." The ancestor of the Lan family nodded. "Please go ahead, sect leader Xian Hui." Before Xian Hui left, she glanced at Yun Chujo with a fierce look in her eyes. If an ordinary person were to be looked at like that, their normal reaction would be panic and unease. However, He Xinjiu was obviously not an ordinary person. She looked at sect leader Xian Hui in confusion and asked crisply, "Sect leader Xian Hui, why did you look at me twice? Could it be because I'm good looking?" "Xian Hui, where did the Lan family find such a fool? He was a monk, and he looked at a little girl twice because she was good looking?" If this news spread out, it would simply cause people to break their backs. He was not like Xian Ji who liked to cultivate with some furnaces or cauldrons. He was a serious monk. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Chapter 53-73 Still wants to go to the Bitter Zen sect for free meals? Xian Hui resisted the urge to slap Yun Chujo to death. With a stiff face, she said, "Amitba. I think you have a very wise route, so I paid more attention to you." Yun Chujo was flattered. "Thank you for your praise, sect leader Xian Hui. If it's convenient for you, can I go and ask you for some Buddhist principles?" Even if Xian Hui was unwilling, she could only grit her teeth and said, "Of course." Yun Chujo immediately smiled and said, "Sect leader Xian Hui, I heard that you are the chosen sect leader personally appointed by the son of Buddha. After seeing you today, you really live up to your reputation. Not only is your cultivation profound, but you are also amiable. You are so generous to a junior like me. You are indeed an accomplished monk." Although Xian Hui wished that she could slap Yun Chujo to death, no one did not like flattery. His expression softened a little. After exchanging a few pleasantries, he took his subordinates and left. The Lan family's patriarch looked at Yun Chujo suspiciously. "You are not really going to provoke him, are you?" Yun Chujo said with a straight face, "Patriarch, mind your words. I am going to ask for Buddhist teachings. How can I use the word provoke?" The ancestor of the Lan family, this troublemaker was going to be a demon. And she was going to be a demon with all kinds of tricks. What bad ideas was she planning? Although the ancestor of the Lan family was curious, it was not good to ask on the street. He could only suppress his curiosity and continue to tour for Season City with the others. After returning to the inn in the afternoon, Yun Chujo came to see the ancestor of the Lan family after she woke up and took a nap. "Patriarch, I'm going to the Uli Inn where the Bitter Zen sect is staying. You don't have to wait for me to have dinner. I'll eat at their place." The patriarch of the Lan family, this troublemaker really had a big heart. She still wanted to go to the Bitter Zen sect to get a free meal. Wasn't she afraid that the Bitter Zen sect would catch her and send her to the Divine Devil Hall? However, he thought about it again. This troublemaker was full of bad ideas. Since she dared to go, she should have some confidence. Besides, with her current cultivation, the Bitter Zen sect might not be able to do anything to her. Therefore, after a moment of silence, he said, "All right, be careful." Yun Chujo nodded and swaggered out of the inn. The Uli Inn was only one street away from the Lan family's Fulai Inn. Therefore, He Xinjiu soon arrived at the entrance of the Uli Inn. The Bitter Zen sect had booked the entire Uli Inn. Therefore, when the waiter saw Yun Chujo, he hurriedly said, "Miss, we are already full. Please move to another inn." Yun Chujo smiled. "I'm not staying here. I'm here to visit Sect Master Xian Hui." The waiter was stunned. He didn't know what to say when he happened to see Yuan Ji. He quickly said, "Master Yuan Ji, a little girl wants to visit Sect Master Xian Hui." What do you think? Yuan Ji curled his lips and walked outside. When he saw that the person who came was actually the sharp-tongued little girl he saw during the day, he coldly snorted, "Why are you looking for my master?" After Yuan Guang died, Xian Hui accepted Yuan Ji as her successor disciple. Yuan Ji could be said to be very satisfied now. When Yun Shujiu saw Yuan Ji, she couldn't help but laugh in her heart. Wasn't this the one who was fooled by her using the chicken or the egg first? Little brother Yuan Ji, I want to ask sect leader Xian Hui for Buddhist principles. Please help me pass on the message. Yun Shujiu said with a smile. Yuan Ji stumbled and almost fell to the ground. What the hell? Little brother Yuan Ji? He must be an idiot. Didn't he know that he was a monk? Didn't he know that he was a proper monk? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-74, No Comparison, No Identification. Yuan Ji glared at Yun Shujiu. Don't spout nonsense. This penniless monk abides by the rules and regulations. Don't act rashly in front of this penniless monk. Yun Shujiu had an innocent look on her face. Am I wrong in calling you little brother? Aren't you a big brother or a big sister? Yuan Ji was so angry that his face turned red. This damned girl was simply twisting words and reasoning. She was really detestable. My master is meditating and doesn't have time to see you. Leave quickly, or else don't blame me for being impolite. Yuan Ji shouted sternly. Only a few people in the bitter Zen sect knew that the Divine Devil Hall had been searching for Yun Shujiu. Yuan Ji was not clear about this. Therefore, his first reaction was not to send people to arrest Yun Shujiu, but to drive her away. Yun Shujiu said with a grievance, Little brother Yuan Ji, this is your fault. This morning, sect leader Xian Hui had clearly promised to help me clear my doubts, but now you are shutting me out. Could it be that sect leader Xian Hui is lying to me? Didn't they say that monks don't lie? Yuan Ji was rendered speechless by her words. Seeing that there were more and more people watching, he could only say, wait here, I'll go in and see if master has finished meditating. Okay. Thank you, little brother Yuan Ji. Yun Shujiu said crisply. Yuan Ji staggered. He had never seen such a thick-skinned female benefactor. She was simply shameless. He went to Xian Hu's room on the second floor and knocked on the door. After getting permission, he entered the room. Why is there a commotion outside? Xian Hui asked unhappily. Master, that Yun Shujiu from the Lan family is here. She said that she wants to consult you on Buddhist principles. I rejected her on the grounds that you were meditating, but she refused to let it go and insisted on meeting you. Yuan Ji said respectfully. Xian Hui frowned. He thought that Yun Shujiu was just saying that this morning. He did not expect her to really come. Could it be that this Yun Shujiu's brain was not working properly? Didn't she know that he was on good terms with the Divine Devil Hall? Wasn't she afraid that he would catch her and give her to the Divine Devil Hall? Or did she have something to rely on? Xian Hui thought for a while and said, bring her up. Although Yuan Ji didn't understand why Xian Hui wanted to see Yun Shujiu, he still answered respectfully and brought Yun Shujiu to Xian Hu's room at the door. After Yun Shujiu came in, she saw that Xian Hui was still meditating on the futon and didn't want to talk to her, so she didn't feel awkward and said to Yuan Ji, I heard that the pastries of the bitter Zen sect are very good. You must have brought a lot of them with you when you went out, right? Give me 2 plates. Xian Hui, who was meditating with her eyes closed, twitched her eyes. What the hell was Yuan Ji? And he asked for food the moment he arrived. He was too thick-skinned. However, when he saw how impudent Yun Shujiu was, he felt that she must have come prepared. She must have something to rely on, so he hesitated whether to take her down. Yuan Ji saw that Xian Hui did not say anything, so he did not move and pretended not to hear Yun Shujiu's words. Yun Shujiu sat down on the chair next to her, crossed her legs and said, "Little brother Yuanji, did you not hear what I said? Your bitter Zen sect can't be so stingy, right? The Zen sect not only let me eat enough, but they also pack a lot of vegetarian dishes for me every time. TSK, there's no comparison and no identification." Upon hearing this, Xian Hui opened her eyes and said to Yuanji, "You can leave first. Get someone to bring tea and snacks over." Although Yuanji really wanted to stay and see what Yun Chuzhou wanted to do, he didn't dare to disobey her, so he could only leave. As soon as Yuanji left, Yun Chuzhou fell to her knees with a plop and said with tears streaming down her face, "Master. My master. Little Jiao has finally met you. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 5375. Xian Hui wanted to get up from the futon, but He Xinjia's master scared her so much that she sat back down on the futon. What the hell? Master? This stinky girl called him master? The first thought in Xian Hu's mind was that this stinky girl was most likely mentally ill. However, when he saw the tears on her little face and the admiration on her face, he felt a little strange. What kind of trick was this stinky girl playing? Xian Hui calmed herself down and asked, "Why do you call me master?" Yun Chuzhou said sincerely, "Master, it was Buddha who told me in my dream that you and I were master and disciple in our previous life. In our previous life, you died miserably in order to save me. You died without a complete corpse. Buddha told me to become master and disciple again with you to end the karma. Otherwise, both you and I will be unable to ascend because of the karma." When Xian Hui heard the words, "dead without a complete corpse," her expression immediately turned ugly. What nonsense was she spouting? He and this wretched girl were master and disciple in their previous life? And he even died miserably in order to save her? What nonsense! Benefactor Yun, don't spout nonsense. If this is the reason why you are here, then please leave," Xian Hui said with a dark expression. When he said this, he secretly observed Yun Chuzhou's reaction, because he was still hesitating whether to capture Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou's tears fell one after another, and she said with a sobbing voice, "Master, what I said is true. If not for this, why would I risk my life to find you?" Buddha also said that he deliberately arranged for the reincarnation of the lonely Buddha to enlighten you. Otherwise, why did the lonely Buddha remain silent until you interacted with the Zen sect? Why did he appear out of nowhere? Therefore, after you were confident of taking over as the sect master, the lonely Buddha retired successfully. Otherwise, think about it, how could the lonely Buddha be killed so easily? Xian Hui frowned when she heard that. This stupid girl sounded like it was true. Whether it was lonely's birth or death, it was quite strange. Could it be that the Buddha really sent him to enlighten him? Impossible, this stinky girl must be talking nonsense. Maybe it was a conspiracy of the Lan family. He said coldly, "What you said is a bit far-fetched. Other than that, what other evidence do you have to prove what you said?" Yun Chuzhou said aggrievedly, "There's no other evidence. Master, do you really not recognize me? I'm such an obedient, smart, and good-looking disciple, but it's a once-in-lifetime opportunity." The corner of Xian Hu's mouth twitched. Obedient, smart, and good-looking? She should be shameless. Pretend that you didn't come today. You can go back, Xian Hui said coldly. Yun Chuzhou said with a determined face, "Master, it's okay if you don't recognize me. I will recognize you. From now on, your matters are my matters. I will do my best to help you." Xian Hui was about to say something, but she continued, "Master, why hasn't senior brother Yuanji delivered the refreshments? Is he eavesdropping on us?" Yuanji, who had just walked to the door and was about to eavesdrop, shook his hand, and the tray in his hand almost fell to the ground. Xian Hui coughed, and Yuanji pushed the door open with a red face and walked in. Yuanji placed the tea and pastries on the table and was about to leave when he heard Yun Chujo say, "Senior brother Yuanji, I will have vegetarian dinner with my master tonight. Go and make the arrangements." Yuanji was a little confused. How did his master become her master in such a short time? What exactly happened? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5376. Don't be embarrassed. Xian Hui heard Yun Chujo talking to herself in a friendly manner and said coldly, "Almsgiver Yun, don't spout nonsense. I'm not your master. Anyway, it will happen sooner or later." "Master, don't be embarrassed," Yun Chujo said with a smile. "Xian Hui, who the fuck is embarrassed? It's clearly your wishful thinking. Amitba. A monk does not speak nonsense when he has sinned." Xian Hui said to Yuanji, "Send almsgiver Yun out." For a moment, he could not figure out Yun Chujo's reason for coming, so he gave up the idea of making a move. Yun Chujo immediately cried like rain. "Master, why are you so heartless? It's not easy for me to see you. I just said a few words, and you want me to leave? I'm not leaving. If I want to leave, I have to eat vegetarian rice before I leave." Xian Hui, was this smelly girl reluctant to part with him or her vegetarian meal? Xian Hui was about to let Yuanji send her off when Yun Chujo said sobbingly, "If you chase me away, I'll sit at the entrance of the inn and cry. Let's see who's embarrassed." Yuanji cursed in his heart. Of course, you're the one who's embarrassed. However, he thought about it again. This smelly girl was shameless. If she were to make a scene, it seemed that they would lose face. Xian Hui was obviously thinking the same. He thought that it was not a big deal to let her have a vegetarian meal. It would be a good opportunity to get some information out of her. Perhaps they would be able to get some useful information out of her. Hence, he said to Yuanji, "Then prepare an extra person's vegetarian meal. You may leave now." Yun Chujo immediately broke into a smile. "Master, I knew that you loved me the most." As expected, Buddha did not lie to me. Xian Hui couldn't see any trace of pretense on her face, and her heart was slightly shaken. Could it be that what this stinky girl said was true? "Does the master of the Lan family know that you came to my place?" Xian Hui asked coldly. "I know. The old ancestor has always doted on me. Although he thinks that I'm fooling around, he still can't persuade me," Yun Chujo said with a smile. A sneer appeared on the corner of Xian Hui's mouth. She didn't continue the topic and said, "I heard that you have a very good relationship with the people of the Zen sect. If you acknowledge me as your master, how will you treat those people of the Zen sect?" Yun Chujo sighed. "In fact, I have thought about this question many times. The palm and the back of the hand are all flesh. It's really difficult to deal with. However, Master, you lost your life for me in your previous life. I naturally have to put you first. Whatever you say. If you want to destroy the Zen sect, I will help you destroy the Zen sect. As long as you don't kill them, it will be fine." The sneer on the corner of Xian Hui's mouth grew thicker. She said again, "What if I want to use you and the Divine Devil Hall in exchange for benefits?" Yun Chujo was stunned and sighed again. "Even so, I will accept it. I owe you everything. If you are willing, tie me up and send me to the Divine Devil Hall now. I have no complaints." Hearing that, Xian Hui immediately raised her hand and made a gesture to attack Yun Chujo. However, she saw Yun Chujo looking at him sadly. She had no intention to hide, but tears were falling from the corner of her eyes. Xian Hui could not do it anymore. It was not that he could not bear it, but he was suspicious in his heart. Could it be that what the little girl said was true? If what she said was true, if she died, wouldn't there be no hope for him to ascend? Xian Hui decided to test him again, so she withdrew her hand and said, "I'm just assuming. Tell me about the Zen sect." Yun Shujiu saw that he did not make a move, and she was delighted. This Xian Hui was much easier to deal with than the old fox of the Lan family. She did not believe that she could not fool him. Chapter 5377, Chicken or Egg. First, Yun Shujiu started talking about the Zen sect with Xian Hui. Of course, what she said could be said. Even if Xian Hui knew about it, it would not be a threat to the Zen sect. As Yun Shujiu's words were vivid and interesting, Xian Hui did not feel bored. Soon, it was time for the evening meal. Yun Shujiu did not stand on ceremony. She ate happily and called him master more affectionately. Yuan Ji was also invited to eat with her. He was completely dumbfounded. Because he found that after Yun Shujiu called him master, his master did not refute her like before. Could it be that his master really took this Yun Shujiu as his disciple? Was the world changing too fast, or was he unable to keep up with the pace? This Yun Shujiu was clearly on good terms with the Zen sect. Why did she come to be his master's disciple again? Yun Shujiu was almost done eating. She looked at Yuan Ji with a smile and said, "Senior brother Yuan Ji, I heard that you encountered a very difficult problem during the 10,000 Buddha's grand meeting, right?" Yuan Ji suddenly looked like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. There was a chicken or an egg first, and there was a goose or a goose egg first. This was the humiliation of his life. He suddenly said with some anger, "What do you mean by bringing this up?" It's just loneliness. Buddha child, playing with me." He wanted to scold loneliness, but then he remembered that he was the reincarnation of Buddha, so it was better not to scold him. "Senior brother Yuan Ji, Buddha loneliness may not be playing with you. If there is one, then there is another. In this life, there is another. If there is no one, then there is no one. If there is destruction, then there is destruction. Buddha talks about the origin, and all things have no beginning. Since there is no beginning, how can there be a chicken or an egg first? Therefore, this debate is not valid at all. I think lonely little Buddha is testing your understanding of the Buddhist scriptures," Yun Shujiu said with a faint smile. Both Yuan Ji and Xian Hui were stunned. Xian Hui seemed to have been enlightened. She put her palms together and said, "Amitabha. I see. The Buddhist Dharma is profound. This penniless monk really cannot break 1 in 10,000. However, Xian Hui soon thought of a question. "How did you know?" Yun Shujiu blinked and said, "Buddha told me in his dream. Otherwise, how would I know such a profound Buddhist scripture?" Xian Hui was skeptical and did not say anything else. Yun Shujiu continued to mumble and then stood up. "Master, it's getting late. I'll go back first. I'll come back tomorrow morning to pay my respects to you." Before Xian Hui could reject him, He Xinjiu put the unfinished pastries on the plate into her storage ring. Her attitude was natural, and her skin was thick. It was unheard of and unheard of. While he was stunned, Yun Shujiu had already walked to the door and said to Yuan Ji, "Senior brother Yuan Ji, shouldn't you send me back to the inn? I'm so pretty. It's too dangerous for me to go back alone." Yuan Ji was speechless. Does this stupid girl have any shame? Xian Hu's eyes flashed. "Yuan Ji, send her back to the inn." Yuan Ji was stunned and even more dumbfounded. Could it be that master really wanted to take in a female disciple? However, he did not dare to disobey, so he could only follow Yun Shujiu out of Xian Hu's room and send her back to the inn. On the way, Yun Shujiu suddenly seemed to have changed into a different person. She did not say a word and only silently shed tears. Yuan Ji could not help but ask, "Why are you crying?" Yun Shujiu only cried without saying a word. In the end, she covered her face and ran back to Fu Lai Inn. Chapter 5378, Junior Sister Yun is lively and cute. Yuan Ji was completely confused. He shook his head, turned around, and returned to the inn to see Xian Hui. Yuanji told him about the situation on the road, and then asked tentatively, Master, do you really want to take that Yunchujiu as your disciple? Xian Hui glared at him. Think before you speak. How could I possibly take a woman as my disciple? Get out. Yuanji retreated in embarrassment, but he was cursing in his heart. Since he didn't want to take her as his disciple, why did he talk to her all afternoon? Why did he still let her stay for dinner? Why did he still let him send her back to the inn? It was obvious that their relationship was unusual. He suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Could it be that stinky girl was Master's illegitimate daughter? The more Yuanji thought about it, the more he felt that this possibility was greater. Otherwise, why would that stinky girl cry so sadly? Moreover, why was his master's attitude towards her so kind? Yuanji, who thought that he had seen through the truth, decided to treat Yunchujiu better. After all, his disciple could not be compared to his master's daughter. Xian Hui did not know that her disciple had misunderstood. He pondered in his heart, but he still could not understand Yunchujiu's intention. Why did she shamelessly acknowledge him as her master? Moreover, she kept crying on the way back. Could it be that what she said was true? Did she really want to acknowledge him as her master? The more Xian Hui thought about it, the more frustrated he became. He knew that his scheming was not as powerful as the dead Xian Ji. Otherwise, he would not have been suppressed all this time. Why not ask someone else? However, it was not good to tell others about such a confidential matter. After thinking for a while, he called Yuanji back. What do you think of that Yunchujiu? Since Yuanji had his previous guess, he naturally did not dare to say anything bad about Yunchujiu, so he said, Master, I think junior sister Yun is lively and cute, and also very smart. Junior sister Yun? He recognized her faster than him. Then why do you think she recognized me as her master? Xian Hui asked again. Yuanji thought to himself, of course it was for the reunion of father and daughter. What else could it be for? However, he couldn't say it out loud. After all, he couldn't let others know that he had a daughter for no reason. Therefore, he thought for a long time before saying, it should be a heartfelt affection for her. Xian Hui was even more dumbfounded. Heartfelt feelings of admiration? Even Yuanji could see through it. Could it be that that smelly girl really wanted to take him as her master sincerely because of Buddha's dream? Putting aside whether what she said was true or not, even if it was true, the price to break with the Divine Devil Hall for her was too high. Just as Xian Hui was thinking about it, someone came up to report, Sect Master, someone from the Divine Devil Hall has come. Xian Hui frowned and asked Yuanji to invite the people from the Divine Devil Hall in. A moment later, a man wearing a purple mask entered the room. The person cupped his hands. Sect leader Xian Hui, I am Qi Dong, the guardian of the Divine Devil Hall. Xian Hui was not particularly familiar with the people from the Divine Devil Hall because Xian Ji had avoided him previously, afraid that he would have a good relationship with the Divine Devil Hall and threaten his position as the sect leader. Therefore, Xian Hui had never seen Qi Dong before. However, he had heard of the 4 great protectors of the Divine Devil Hall. He nodded and said, Protector Qi Dong, please take a seat. The two of them exchanged a few pleasantries before Xian Hui said, Protector Qi Dong, is there anything important that you came here for? Qi Dong smiled and said, I heard that Yunchujiu came here this afternoon and stayed for a long time. Is that true? Chapter 53-79 The Divine Devil Temple went too far. Xian Hui was not too surprised to hear Qi Dong's words. After all, this 4-season city was the Divine Devil Temple's territory, so it was natural that there were spies everywhere. However, although Qi Dong's tone was inquisitive, there was a hint of questioning in it. Xian Hui felt a little dissatisfied. Although he was dissatisfied, there was nothing unusual on his face. He nodded and said, That's right, there is such a thing. Qi Dong immediately asked, Why did she come looking for you? What a pity. If we can capture her, it will solve a huge problem for our divine devil hall. Xian Hui was even more displeased. Was Qi Dong blaming him? If their divine devil hall wanted to capture Yun Chuzhou, they could have captured her when she came alone or when she went back. Why should they blame him for not capturing her? Could it be that the divine devil hall was the only one who had scruples, and the bitter Zen sect did not have scruples? This was outrageous. Xian Hui had originally planned to tell him everything that happened in the afternoon, but he felt that if he told the truth, Qi Dong would probably be even more suspicious of the bitter Zen sect. So, he said with a cold tone, "It's nothing. She came to ask me for some Buddhist principles." Qi Dong's pupils constricted. Buddhist principles? Xian Hui was obviously not telling the truth. Yun Chuzhou had always been on good terms with the Zen sect, so there was no need for her to come and ask Xian Hui for advice. Besides, asking the Buddhist principles for an entire afternoon and only returning after dark? And she had even asked Yuan Ji to personally send her back. There must be something wrong with this. If it weren't for Yuan Ji accompanying Yun Chuzhou, his subordinates might have directly snatched her away. Moreover, it was said that Yun Chuzhou had been crying non-stop on the way back. It was obvious that something had happened. This Xian Hui must be lying. Qi Dong's tone immediately turned cold. Sect leader Xian Hui, we have always been in a cooperative relationship, and our cooperation has been quite pleasant. Isn't it inappropriate for you to lie to me like this? Xian Hui was not a good-natured person to begin with. When she heard Qi Dong being so aggressive, her face immediately darkened. Guardian Qi Dong, where did you get this idea from? If you don't believe me, you can just ask your people to monitor my every move, so that you won't have to go to the trouble of interrogating me. Qi Dong was stunned. When Xian Ji was the sect leader, he had treated him rather humbly. How could he be like this Xian Hui, who had turned hostile just like that? He suppressed the anger in his heart. The Chongshao Grand Meeting was about to begin. He could not lose the big one because of the small one, so he squeezed out a smile and said, "Sect leader Xian Hui, I'm sorry. I spoke too harshly just now. I was also worried and confused. You also know that Yun Chuzhou is very important to our divine devil hall, so I spoke a little too hastily. Please forgive me." Xian Hui sneered in her heart, but she pulled back her words and said, "Protector Qi Dong, you don't have to say that. I was also annoyed by that Yun Chuzhou for the whole afternoon. I wanted to capture her and send her to your divine devil hall, but I saw that she was not afraid at all. I was afraid that she had some tricks up her sleeve, so I didn't make a move." Qi Dong had the heart to question why Xian Hui had sent Yuan Ji to escort Yun Chuzhou back to the inn. However, he was afraid that he would anger Xian Hui again, so he could only laugh and say, "I see. That Yun Chuzhou has always been full of tricks. It's only right for sect leader Xian Hui to be more careful." The two of them exchanged a few more pleasantries before Qi Dong stood up and left. Seeing that Qi Dong had left, Xian Hui was so angry that she slammed the teacup in her hand onto the ground. The divine devil hall had gone too far. Chapter 5380, Master, I'm here to see you. Xian Hui recalled Qi Dong's questioning tone and became even angrier. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Previously, Xian Ji and the Divine Devil Hall were very close, and the Divine Devil Hall must have been dissatisfied with him taking over as the sect master. They were picking on him and deliberately came to find fault with him. He thought about it and also hated Yun Chuzhou. If it wasn't for that stinky girl who insisted on acknowledging him as her master, there wouldn't be such a troublesome matter. Wait. Xian Hui was shocked. Could it be that the stupid girl's purpose was to sow discord? He thought about it again and felt that he was thinking too much. No matter how smart that stupid girl was, she would never think that the people from the Divine Devil Hall would question him. However, it was a little strange that she suddenly came to acknowledge him as her master. Xian Hui couldn't figure out whether Yun Chuzhou was intentionally sowing discord, and he didn't sleep well that night. However, he still woke up on time to do his morning lessons. He was very proud of this. Compared to Xian Ji, he was a real monk. Just as Xian Hui finished her morning lessons and was about to eat breakfast, Yuan Ji knocked on the door and came in. "Master, junior sister Yun is here. She is waiting downstairs." Xian Hui glared at him. "Bastard. Where did you get a junior sister? Tell that brat to go back to where she came from. If she doesn't leave, you will threaten her to send her to the Divine Devil Hall." Yuan Ji was dumbfounded. Last night when he addressed junior sister Yun, didn't his master not refute him? Why did he go back on his words after one night? Junior sister Yun was really pitiful. Even her biological father did not acknowledge her. No wonder she cried so sadly last night. Yuan Ji thought again. Yesterday, someone from the Divine Devil Hall came. Could it be that he had said something to his master and that was why his master changed his mind? Perhaps his master had no choice but to do this for junior sister Yun's sake. Yuan Ji thought that he had understood the truth of the matter and comforted him. "Master, I understand the helplessness in your heart. I will chase junior sister Yun away now." Xian Hui, this disciple of his must be an idiot, right? He was just about to reprimand him when Yuan Ji had already pushed open the door and left, so he could only give up. Yuan Ji went downstairs and sighed. "Master Yun, benefactor Yun, Master is currently meditating and has no time to see you. Please go back." Yun Chuzhou immediately revealed a tearful expression. "Senior brother Yuan Ji, I have something important to see Master. I hope you can accommodate me." Yuan Ji shook his head. "Benefactor Yun, Master said that if you don't leave now, he will send someone to capture you and send you to the Divine Devil Hall. You'd better leave quickly." Yun Chuzhou looked at Yuan Ji in disbelief and asked with a trembling voice, "Master really said that?" Although Yuan Ji could not bear it, he still said, "You should leave now." Hearing this, Yun Chuzhou covered her face and ran out of the inn while sobbing. Yuan Ji sighed and returned to Xian Hui's room. "Master, Yun, benefactor Yun has already left. She just left in tears." Xian Hui snorted coldly and waved her hand to let Yuan Ji leave. Xian Hui's heart was even more troubled. What was Yun Chuzhou's motive? If she was sincerely trying to sow discord, why did she leave so easily? Moreover, she said so earnestly yesterday, saying that she had to acknowledge him as her master. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to ascend. How could she give up so easily? Just as Xian Hui was thinking, she looked at the window in a daze. A small head popped out from the window, smiling brightly. "Master, I'm here to see you." Xian Hui. Chapter 5381, Fatherly Love. While Xian Hui was still in a daze, Yun Chuzhou had already climbed into the house through the window. Xian Hui's room was close to the street, so it was not difficult for her to climb in. However, Xian Hui did not expect that a little girl like Yun Chuzhou would climb into the house in broad daylight. Yun Chuzhou sat on the chair as if she was familiar with it. When she saw the untouched breakfast, she was touched and said, "Master, did you specially save this breakfast for me? You are so nice to me." As he spoke, he began to eat happily. Xian Hui, that was his breakfast. His. Xian Hui slammed the table. "Yun Chuzhou, don't think that I don't dare to do anything to you. Don't go too far." Yun Chuzhou continued to eat her breakfast slowly as if she didn't hear anything. "Leave this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will have someone capture you and send you to the Divine Devil Hall," Xian Hui said through gritted teeth. Yun Chuzhou took a bite of the steamed bun and said with a smile, "Master, it's so early in the morning. Why are you so angry? Did senior brother Yuan Ji make you angry?" Yuan Ji, who came to collect the dishes outside the door, was he hearing things? Why did he hear junior sister Yun's voice? Could it be that Master told him to chase Junior Sister Yun away just for the Divine Devil Hall to see? But, how did Junior Sister Yun come in? He was really curious, so he knocked twice and pushed the door open without waiting for Xian Hu's permission. When he saw Yun Chuzhou eating breakfast, he suddenly felt a myriad of emotions. Just look, he knew that Master loved Junior Sister Yun very much. Otherwise, why would he rather let Junior Sister Yun eat it than eat it himself? This was the love of a father. Xian Hui saw Yuanji's strange expression and became even angrier. She said angrily, "Why are you still standing there? Chase her out." Yuanji sighed. "Master, I'm not an outsider, why do you have to hide in front of me? Don't worry, I understand all your intentions. I won't go out and say anything. I'll stand guard outside for you." After Yuanji said that, he quickly left and stood guard at the door. After thinking for a while, he retreated a distance to avoid hearing things that he shouldn't have heard. Xian Hui was furious. He was really blind back then. How could he choose such an idiot as his disciple? No wonder he was confused by the chicken or the egg first. It was simply a pig's brain. Yun Chuzhou was also a little confused. Did that Yuanji misunderstand something? However, it seemed that the effect was not bad. If he wanted to misunderstand, then so be it. Yun Chuzhou was almost done eating. She slumped into the chair and said, "Master, I feel that I have lived in vain before. After seeing you, my life has meaning." Xian Hui sneered and did not say anything. Since he was disturbed by that idiot Yuanji, he wanted to see what Yun Chuzhi's purpose was. He didn't believe that he, the sect master of the Bitter Zen sect, couldn't see through a little girl's scheme. However, he didn't expect that Yun Chuzhou would take out a futon from her storage ring, put it on the ground, and said with a smile, "Master, let me meditate with you." Xian Hu's eyes flashed. Although he had only met Yun Chuzhou twice, he could already see that this little girl's character was quite jumpy and definitely didn't have the patience to meditate. He wanted to see how she would end up. Thus, Xian Hui closed his eyes and started meditating. Yes, he was starving. Yun Chuzhou also obediently sat on the futon to meditate. Xian Hui initially thought that Yun Chuzhou would not be able to sit still very soon. Who would have thought that after an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, Yun Chuzhou would still sit on the futon to meditate obediently. Chapter 5382 Father's love is like a mountain. Xian Hui couldn't help but ask, "How did you last so long? Have you meditated before?" Yun Chuzhou immediately grimaced and said, "Oh, Master, you finally spoke to me. I couldn't help it for a long time. My back is aching. But we agreed to meditate with you. I can't give up halfway, can I? No wonder you became an eminent monk. Let's not talk about other things. The ability to meditate is not something an ordinary person can compare to." As she spoke, Yun Chuzhou stood up and kept moving her hands and feet. It was obvious that it was very uncomfortable to not move for a long time. Xian Hui was a little touched. She did not expect this little girl to be so sincere. Otherwise, she would not have accompanied him to meditate for 4 hours. Even so, he could not be soft-hearted. He thought for a moment and said, "I don't care what your purpose is. I will not accept you as my disciple. Even if what you said is true, I will not offend the Divine Devil Hall because of you. You can go back and pretend that nothing happened." Yun Chuzhou immediately said with a grievance, "Master, if we don't end the cause and effect, you will not be able to ascend. You have to think twice." Xian Hui was unmoved and closed her eyes to continue meditating. "Master, is it because of the Divine Devil Hall that you don't want to acknowledge me?" Yun Chuzhou asked with a sobbing voice. Xian Hui didn't react at all, as if she didn't hear Yun Chuzhi's words. "Master, what's so good about the Divine Devil Hall that it's worth you giving up ascending for them? Putting everything else aside, I heard that the Divine Devil Hall has a very good relationship with that old, perverted, and ghost Xianji from before. And you killed that Xianji, so they must be dissatisfied with you. Xian Hui still did not say anything, but her eyelids trembled slightly. Yun Chujiu curled the corners of her mouth slightly and continued, besides, if you want to ascend, you must enter the 10,000 Buddha Sacred Hall. Don't tell me you want to enter the Divine Devil Hall? You cultivate Buddhist power. I heard from my ancestor that in the Divine Enlightenment continent, the Divine Devil Hall and the 10,000 Buddha Sacred Hall don't have a good relationship. If you enter the 10,000 Buddha Sacred Hall, they will know that you have a good relationship with the Divine Devil Hall, and they might think that you are a spy. Xian Hui still didn't say anything, but her eyelids were trembling even more. She was even holding the Buddha bead much faster. It was obvious that she was very anxious. He had to admit that what Yun Chujiu said made sense. If he had stayed in the Chongshao continent, it wouldn't have mattered. The 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall wouldn't care too much about the relationship between the Bitter Zen sect and the Divine Devil Hall. However, if he really ascended, or if it involved the interests of the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall, it was likely that his relationship with the Divine Devil Hall was a hidden danger, a huge hidden danger. Thinking of this, he hated Xianji to death. Back then, he did not agree to cooperate with the Divine Devil Hall, but Xianji insisted, so there was nothing he could do. He was ready to hear what Yun Chujiu would say next, but he was disappointed to find that Yun Chujiu did not continue. Instead, she continued to meditate with him. Xian Hu's heart was like a cat scratching it. She felt that Yun Chujiu still had something important to say, but it was not good to rush her. Her heart was in a mess. Xian Hui thought for a moment and shouted to the outside, Yuanji, prepare the vegetarian meal. He felt that he could take advantage of the vegetarian meal to get the rest of Yun Chujiu's words. Yuanji, who was outside, misunderstood and cursed in his heart. Just look, he said that the sect leader treated junior sister Yun differently. Usually, their sect leader didn't eat much for lunch, but today, he eagerly asked him to prepare lunch. Indeed, a father's love was like a mountain. Chapter 5383 was too simple for you soon. The vegetarian rice was served and there was a big food box. Junior sister Yun, this was specially left for you to take away, Yuanji said fawningly. Yun Chujiu was stunned and then said with a smile, thank you, senior brother Yuanji. Yuanji chuckled, junior sister Yun, this is what I should do. In fact, master dotes on you very much, scram. Xian Hui could not take it anymore. She had the thought of expelling this idiot from the sect. Yuanji thought that Xian Hui was embarrassed, so he smiled sheepishly and left. Although Yun Chujiu did not know what Yuanji had misunderstood, she was happy to see it happen. She smiled at Xian Hui and said, Master, can we eat now? Xian Hui thought, now you know how to be reserved. Why didn't you ask me when we were eating in the morning? It made me hungry until now. However, he still wanted to trick her, so he nodded. Yun Chujiu immediately picked up her chopsticks and started eating. The dishes of the bitter Zen sect tasted better than those of the Zen sect. It was a waste not to eat them. Seeing that she was eating so sweetly, Xian Hui also felt a little hungry and started eating. When she was almost done eating, Xian Hui said, in order to avoid suspicion from the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall, our bitter Zen sect and the Divine Devil Hall will have less contact in the future. However, this doesn't mean that I am willing to become enemies with the Divine Devil Hall, so I won't accept you. You can leave after you finish eating. Yun Chujiu put down her chopsticks and sighed. Master, you think too simply. Alas, for your sake, I can't eat well and sleep well, so I lost a few kilograms in one night. Xian Hui looked at the empty bowl in front of her and the corner of her mouth twitched. He didn't know whether this stinky girl was asleep or not, but she was talking nonsense. However, he wanted to know what she said later, so he said, oh? Why do I think it's simple? Master, even if you don't contact the Divine Devil Hall anymore, the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall will think that you two are connected. Xian Hui disapproved and said, what you said is too arbitrary. The 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall will definitely investigate thoroughly. Yun Shujiu smiled bitterly and said, Master, I heard that the old ancestor met 3 masters of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall in the bitter Zen sect. He was very arrogant. Presumably, their status in the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall would not be too high, but even they were so arrogant. One could imagine how arrogant the higher-ups of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall would be. If that's the case, how could they have the patience to investigate whether you and the Divine Devil Hall are still connected? Once you ascend into the 10,000 Buddha sacred hall, or if the Divine Devil Hall in the Chongshan continent touches the interests of the 10,000 Buddha sacred hall, in order to avoid trouble, they will directly kill you. Xian Hu's expression suddenly changed. He remembered that Yin Chang and the other 2 wanted to kill Lone the moment they arrived at the bitter Zen sect. They did not want to investigate anything at all. Later, if Lone had not voluntarily entered the Devil Refining Pagoda, he would have been killed on the spot. If he encountered the situation that Yun Shujiu had mentioned in the future, the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall probably would not give him a chance to explain. In the eyes of the people of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, he was an ant-like existence. He could kill as he wished without any scruples. The more Xian Hui thought about it, the more afraid he became. Cold sweat could not help but break out on his forehead. Just as he was thinking about it, he heard Yun Shujiu continue, alas. Master, I have to say, that dead Xian Ji deserves to be cut into pieces. He is simply an idiot without a brain. He should never have colluded with the Divine Devil Hall. This is simply dragging the entire bitter Zen sect into eternal damnation. Chapter 5384. Xian Hu doubts Xian Hui was originally dissatisfied with Xian Ji. After hearing Yun Shujiu's words, she subconsciously nodded in agreement. However, he immediately realized that he had lost his composure. He coughed and said, the reason why Xian Ji cooperated with the Divine Devil Hall is to fight against the Zen sect and take back what should belong to our bitter Zen sect. Yun Shujiu curled her lips and said, Master, my words may sound unpleasant, but since things have come to this, I can only tell you the truth. What do you mean by what should belong to the bitter Zen sect? It was the ancestors of the bitter Zen sect who left the Zen sect voluntarily, and they didn't leave empty-handed. They took away a lot of good things. This is the same as the branch families of the big families in the secular world. Since they had already split up, now they want to snatch their things. They are too shameless. Xian Hu's old face turned red. Just as she was about to fly into a rage, she heard Yun Shujiu continue, Master, what I said just now was a little harsh, but the Zen Buddhism sect chose to join the Divine Devil Hall to deal with the Zen Buddhism sect. They were really out of their mind. Originally, the Zen Buddhism sect and the Zen Buddhism sect came from the same lineage. When things happen, they can completely band together to face the outside world. As long as you guys band together, you can call the wind and summon the rain in the Chongshan continent. Even if the 10,000 Buddhist sacred palace makes things difficult for you, they wouldn't dare to go too far in the Chongshan continent. Yun Shujiu sighed heavily again. Now, your bitter Zen sect has chosen to collude with the Divine Devil Hall and offended the Zen sect. When the 10,000 Buddhist sacred palace comes to settle the scores with your bitter Zen sect, the Divine Devil Hall will definitely stand by and watch. At that time, your bitter Zen sect will be isolated and have no one to help you. I even suspect that Xian Ji might be a spy planted by the Divine Devil Hall in the bitter Zen sect. Otherwise, why would he make such an unwise choice when he is so cunning? Xian Hui kept twirling the Buddha bead. Fortunately, the Buddha bead was relatively sturdy. Otherwise, it would have been crushed into pieces by him. His heart was in a mess now. On one hand, he felt that Yun Shujiu was trying to sow discord and had no good intentions. On the other hand, he felt that what she said made sense. Especially when she said that Xianji might be a spy from the Divine Devil Hall. He felt that it was really possible. Most of the disciples of the Bitter Zen sect had become monks in the Bitter Zen sect since they were young. Xianji, on the other hand, only joined the Bitter Zen sect when he was in his 20s. However, because of his high aptitude, he was able to cause trouble. Later on, he became the successor disciple of the former sect master. What was even more strange was that before Xianji, the former sect master had a disciple who was also an extremely talented person. However, he died during a mission and the position of sect master fell to Xianji. Although the Bitter Zen sect was not as rigid as the Zen sect, they also abided by the rules and regulations. However, after that, Xianji had gotten many women to be his furnaces and cauldrons. No matter how he looked at it, he did not look like a proper monk. Could it be that the Divine Devil Hall had really planted spies in the Bitter Zen sect? When he thought of Qi Dong's attitude yesterday, the suspicion in his heart grew even more. Could it be that Qi Dong was dissatisfied with him because he had killed Xianji? Yun Shijia's eyes flickered when she saw that Xian Hui was about to twist the Buddhist bead in her hand away. She did not expect to incite Xian Hui to revolt now, but once the seed of suspicion was planted, it would sooner or later break out of the ground and grow into a towering tree. She did not call Xian Hui her master for nothing. She was not lacking a master. Once the Bitter Zen sect and the Divine Devil Hall fell out, the Qi family, Mu family, and Zhuang family might also turn against them. At that time, the Divine Devil Hall would be isolated and helpless. She wanted to see what else the Divine Devil Hall could stir up. Chapter 5385 was a flawless plan, Master. The 10,000 Buddhas grand meeting is going to be held tomorrow. I won't disturb you anymore. I'll come and pay my respects to you another day, Yun Shujo said. Xian Hu's heart was in a mess now, and she didn't have the mood to probe Yun Shujo anymore. She called Yuan Ji and Yun Shujo to leave. Xian Hui originally wanted Yuan Ji to send Yun Shujo downstairs, but Yuan Ji misunderstood and sent Yun Shujo directly back to Fu Lian. After Yuan Ji left, Yun Shujo was called over by the Lan family's patriarch. After Yun Shujo came back yesterday, the Lan family's patriarch wanted to ask her about it, but Yun Shujo said that she was not feeling well, so she didn't go to see him. The Lan family's patriarch didn't know what this guy was up to, so he didn't ask. In the end, this guy went to Yu Lian early in the morning. It was already afternoon, and he came back. What did you go to the Bitter Zen sect for? The ancestor of the Lan family asked with a sullen face. Yun Shujo took out the pastries that Yuan Ji had packed for her and said with a smile, Ancestor, this was given to me by Xian Hui. Please try it. The ancestor of the Lan family looked at the pastries in the food box and thought that Xian Hui was most likely crazy. He actually didn't capture Yun Shujo and give her to the Divine Devil Hall. He even let her eat, and even gave her pastries? Was this Xian Hu's brain damaged? The Lan family's ancestor's gaze fell on Yun Shujo again and asked, Don't change the topic. Why did you run to see Xian Hui? Yun Shujia's smile became even brighter. I went to acknowledge Xian Hui as my master. The Lan family's ancestor almost jumped up from his chair. What was this troublemaker saying? She took Xian Hui as her master? What was the difference between this and a mouse paying a New Year's visit to a cat? Did he mishear, or was this troublemaker extremely audacious? The ancestor of the Lan family paused for a while and then said, What did Xian Hui say? Did she agree? The ancestor of the Lan family thought that Xian Hui would only agree unless she was crazy. However, this troublemaker seemed to be in high spirits. Could it be that she really agreed? I haven't agreed yet, but I will agree sooner or later. After all, it's rare to meet such a smart, good-looking and filial disciple of mine, Yun Shujo said with a smile. The ancestor of the Lan family glared at her. Tell me in detail what happened. Yun Chuzhou did not hide it. She said it once and then said, Xian Hui is different from Xian Ji. The reason why I chose him to be the sect leader was firstly to get rid of Xian Ji. Secondly, it was because he was not that calculative and was easier to fool. The Lan family's ancestor, he was both shocked and shocked. This plan had probably been set up since she entered the devil refining pagoda. This troublemaker's meticulous mind was truly terrifying. Lonesome Golden Cicada's escape had not only avoided the fear of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, but also successfully eliminated Xian Ji and buried the hidden line of Xian Hui. It was truly a flawless plan. According to her, sooner or later, Xian Hui would break off with the Divine Devil Hall. Moreover, under the matchmaking of this troublemaker, she might turn the conflict with the Zen sect into amicable friendship. In this way, the situation of the Chongshao continent would be completely changed. Sooner or later, the godly devil temple would be attacked by the crowd and eventually destroyed. And the beginning of all this started from this troublemaker pretending to be a small monk. The Lan family's patriarch felt that he had nothing more to ask. Moreover, he had made up his mind that he would tell everyone about his plan after the Chongshao Grand Meeting. Because he felt that if he were to compare himself with this troublemaker, he might raise a stone and throw it at his own feet. Chapter 5386. Xian Hui. Yun Chuzhou hummed a tune as she came out of the Lan family's old ancestor's house and returned to her own room. The feeling of letting her play around with all the major powers as a chess piece was simply too good. This guy ate a spirit fruit and his black eyes rolled around. He picked up the voice transmission talisman and said, Ling Yun, keep an eye on Dian Yu Lian. Once you see anyone from the Divine Devil Hall coming over, report to me immediately. After this guy received Ling Yun's reply, he picked up the voice transmission talisman from Master Liaowu. After saying a few words, he crossed his legs and began to read the script. She was quite happy. Ever since she left, Xian Hui had been pacing back and forth in the room. His mind was filled with Yun Chuzhou's words. He no longer cared whether what Yun Chuzhou said about master and disciple karma was true or not, because he felt that what Yun Chuzhou said later was the main point. Should he continue to cooperate with the Divine Devil Hall, or should he break with the Divine Devil Hall and make peace with the Zen sect? This was really a difficult decision to make. No matter which choice he made, there were pros and cons. He was really worried to death. Xian Hui had a bad temper to begin with, and now she was even more irritated. So when she heard that Qi Dong had come again, she was quite impatient. She wanted to avoid meeting him, but she was afraid of offending Qi Dong, so she had to ask Yuan Ji to invite Qi Dong to his room. Qi Dong entered the room and exchanged a few pleasantries. Then, he probed, Sect leader Xian Hui, I heard that Yun Chuzhou came again this morning? And she climbed in through the window? She came to ask for Buddhist teachings again? Qi Dong sneered in his heart. He had never heard of anyone who climbed in through the window to ask for Buddhist teachings. This Xian Hui definitely did not tell the truth yesterday. What exactly was he doing with that Yun Chuzhou? When Xian Hui heard this, her heart immediately became even more unhappy. The Divine Devil Hall was simply spying on and interrogating him like a criminal. This was really outrageous. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said, She accompanied me to meditate for 4 hours before leaving. I wanted to kick her out, but she was just a little girl and refused to leave. I couldn't force her out. After all, there are so many eyes in Four Seasons City. Xian Hui thought that what he said was the truth. That stupid girl indeed meditated with him for 4 hours. However, Qi Dong didn't believe it. That Yun Chuzhou was very temperamental. How could she meditate for 4 hours? This Xian Hui was even so perfunctory in lying. She did not put him in her eyes at all. It was really detestable. Qi Dong said with a somewhat gloomy face, Sect leader Xian Hui, our divine devil hall has always been very happy to cooperate with your bitter Zen sect. I don't want to cause unnecessary trouble because of some things. So, please tell me the truth. What exactly did that Yunchujo come to you for? Qi Dong's original intention was to remind Xian Hui not to lose the big because of the small, but these words changed in Xian Hui's ears. He felt that Qi Dong was accusing him of not being sensible enough to deal with the situation. While he was angry, he remembered that Yunchujo said that Xianji might be a member of the Divine Devil Hall, and his heart suddenly moved. He sighed, "Protector Qi Dong, to tell you the truth, although Xianji's character is not good, he is better than me in this aspect." Qi Dong did not say anything. What else could he say? However, when he did not say anything, Xian Hui became even more suspicious that Xianji was a spy from the Divine Devil Hall, and became even more dissatisfied with the Divine Devil Hall. At this moment, Yuan Ji braced himself and reported, "Master Liaowu of the Zen sect is here." Chapter 5387. I don't lack disciples. Yuan Ji's words made the atmosphere in the room even more tense. Xian Hui's brows were tightly knitted. Why did this old thing, Lei Wu, come here? Why did he come here? Qi Dong's face was gloomy. He finally understood why Yunchujo came to see Xian Hui for 2 days in a row. It turned out that she was a lobbyist for the Zen sect. Now it seemed that they had reached an initial consensus, so Lei Wu came personally. This was really outrageous. Master Xian Hui, don't you have any explanation for this? Qi Dong said coldly. Xian Hui was originally very displeased because she suspected that Xian Ji was a spy. Now that she saw Qi Dong being so aggressive, she sneered and said, "Protector Qi Dong, your words are really strange. What do I have to explain?" Qi Dong was choked by the rebuke. He wanted to flare up, but he wanted to see what Master Liaowu was here for, so he said, "Master Xian Hui, since Master Liaowu came to visit, shouldn't you let someone invite him in?" Xian Hui sneered and said to Yuan Ji, who was dumbfounded, "Invite Master Liaowu in." A moment later, Master Liaowu entered the room. Although they were enemies, they still had to be polite on the surface. Xian Hui and Qi Dong stood up and exchanged a few pleasantries before the three of them took their seats. After drinking 2 sips of tea, Master Liaowu smiled and said, "I took the liberty to visit you. I didn't disturb you, did I?" Xian Hui also smiled and said, "Master Liaowu, you don't have to be so polite. I wonder why you are here." Master Liaowu glanced at Qi Dong and then said, "It's nothing serious. I was invited by Master Xian Hui at the Bitter Zen sect and wanted to catch up with you." Hearing this, Qi Dong sneered in his heart. Catch up with you? Did he think he was a 3-year-old kid? The Zen sect and the Bitter Zen sect had always been on bad terms. If there was nothing fishy going on, why would Master Liaowu come to see Xian Hui? It seemed that the sect master of the Bitter Zen sect had to be replaced. Otherwise, the Bitter Zen sect would sooner or later break away from the control of the Divine Devil Hall. Xian Hui didn't believe that Master Liaowu was just here to catch up, but she didn't say much and continued to chat awkwardly. Qi Dong felt that even if he stayed, he wouldn't gain anything, so he stood up and took his leave. Xian Hui left a few words, but seeing that Qi Dong was determined to leave, she didn't say anything more. After Qi Dong left, Master Liaowa's face immediately darkened, and he said unhappily, "Master Xian Hui, what do you mean?" Xian Hui was simply angered to the point of being dumbfounded. Previously, Qi Dong had not rebuked him with his nose, but now he was questioning him without any reason. Everyone thought that he, Xian Hui, was a soft persimmon that they could pinch whenever they wanted. Xian Hui held back the impulse to make a move and said with a gloomy face, "Master Liaowu, what do you mean by this?" Master Liaowa's face was full of indignation. "What do I mean? Although Yunchujo is a little girl, I have always treated her as a disciple. I was ready to take her as a disciple, and she agreed readily. However, today, she suddenly told me that she has decided to acknowledge you as her master. Don't you have anything to say? What kind of scheme did you use to trick that little girl? Xian Hui was stunned, but when he saw that Master Liao's eyes were red with anger, a strange sense of pride welled up in his heart. Humph. So what if you knew that little girl first? Isn't that little girl still eagerly begging me to be her master? He sneered, Master Liao, this matter can't be blamed on me. It's that little girl who cried and insisted on acknowledging me as her master. I'm also very helpless. I don't lack disciples, so I really don't want to accept her. Chapter 5388 is my disciple. Master Liaowu looked at Xian Hu's smug expression and couldn't help but laugh in his heart. However, he was somewhat jealous. Although that little girl said that she was trying to drive a wedge between the bitter Zen sect and the divine devil hall, this Xian Hu's appearance was really asking for a beating. He snorted coldly. She's young and simple-minded. It's hard to avoid being deceived by you. No matter what, I am more suitable to be her master than you are. You must have used some sinister means. Otherwise, she would not acknowledge you as her master. Xian Hui was immediately unhappy. He sneered. Oh. Then I want to hear, how am I, Xian Hui, inferior to you? How am I inferior to you? Let's not talk about other things. The Divine Devil Hall is her mortal enemy, and your bitter Zen sect is on good terms with the Divine Devil Hall. If that little girl takes you as her master, are you going to protect her or hand her over to the Divine Devil Hall? So, you didn't take her as your disciple to train her, but to deceive her and send her to the Divine Devil Hall to flatter her. What? You want to deny it? If that's not the case, why did Qi Dong from the Divine Devil Hall come here? You must be conspiring to deceive little Jiu. To think that she said you are an eminent monk. What a good scheme. Master Liao's face was full of sarcasm. Xian Hui was furious. She felt like she was about to die of injustice. You are spouting nonsense. Qi Dong came here to ask Yun Chuzhou what she is doing. There is no conspiracy at all. Xian Hui, do you think I am a 3-year-old child? He asked you why little Jiu is here. Does he want you to tie little Jiu up and hand her over to him? Xian Hu's old face flushed red because Master Liaowu was right. Qi Dong's goal was this. However, the crux of the problem was that he did not say what Yun Chuzhou was here for, nor did he agree to Qi Dong's request. Thus, he explained, although Qi Dong did have this intention, I did not agree to it, nor did I reveal that Yun Chuzhou wanted to acknowledge me as her master. Master Liaowu waved his hand impatiently. I am impatient to hear you say these things. I came here today to warn you not to have any ideas about little Nine. She is my disciple. Xian Hui was also a proud person. After hearing what Master Liaowu said, even if he originally did not intend to accept Yun Chuzhou, he had to accept her now. He had to accept her. This Master Liaowu was so angry. He sneered, Master Liaowu, what you said is not right. You have to be willing to take her as your master. Yun, little Nine doesn't like you. Even if you threaten me, it's useless. Master Liaowu thought, this old thing changed her words fast enough. In the blink of an eye, she became little Nine. However, all of this was exactly what little Nine had expected. That little girl was really smart. He snorted coldly. Don't be so sure. Before I came, I had already explained the stakes to little Nine. She might have already changed her mind. If you don't believe me, I will call her over right now and see who she will choose. If you want to call her, then call her. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Xian Hui snorted coldly. Previously, he had been angered by Qi Dong, and now he had been bullied by Master Liaowu. He was hot-blooded, so he couldn't care much about it, so he agreed immediately. Master Liaowu had a cold smile on his face, and then he sent a message to Yun Chuzhou. A moment later, Yun Chuzhou came over in high spirits, holding a jar of wine in her hand. The spies of the Divine Devil Hall immediately reported this news to Qi Dong, and Qi Dong immediately smashed the teacup in his hand into pieces. Chapter 5389. The ceremony of acknowledging a master. Qi Dong's face was gloomy. He had guessed correctly. Yun Chuzhou had gone to look for Xian Hui twice in order to matchmake the Chan sect. Apparently, Xian Hui in the non-phase talk had reached an agreement, so she had called Yun Chuzhou, that stinky girl, to celebrate. If it was not for the celebration, why did she especially carry a jar of spiritual wine? Xian Hui, the old bald donkey, played him like a fool. She was really courting death. Xian Hui naturally did not know that Qi Dong had already imagined a big drama. He frowned when he saw the jar of wine in He Xinjia's hands. Why are you hugging the jar of wine? Yun Chuzhou put the jar of wine on the table and said, I've thought it through. Today, I have to settle the matter of master. This jar of wine will be used as an apprentice gift. Both Xian Hui and Lei Wu felt that this little girl was really stingy. Only one jar of wine was given as a gift to acknowledge him as her master. Yun Chuzhou seemed to have seen through the intentions of the two of them. She opened the wine seal, and immediately, the room was filled with the rich aroma of wine. Yun Chuzhou had once obtained several jars of 10,000-year-old spirit wine in Supreme City. Because of the rich aroma, even if she added a cup of ordinary spirit wine, it would be able to turn it into a rare top-grade spirit wine on the market. After Yun Chuzhou opened the wine seal, she moved to the side. The fragrance of the wine was too strong, so she poured herself another cup, afraid that she would get drunk. Master Liaowu and Xian Hui, however, came to the front of the wine jar at the same time, and their faces revealed some drooling looks. It was not that they were not reserved, but this jar of wine was too fragrant and mellow. It seemed like it had been there for 1,000 years. Yun Chuzhou saw their expressions and curled the corners of her lips. She took a step forward and closed the wine seal again. Even so, the room was still filled with the mellow fragrance of the wine. Little Jiu, I have told you before that you were only deceived by Xian Hui. He is not suitable to be your master, so you should take me as your master. Master Liaowu stared at the wine jar and said. He had completely forgotten that he had previously said that as the sect master of the Zen sect, it was impossible for him to take a little girl as his disciple. When Xian Hui heard him say this, she immediately became anxious. Yun, little 9 girl, don't listen to his nonsense. Our fate as master and disciple was set in our previous life. You called me master a few times before. Logically speaking, you should take me as your master. On one hand, Xian Hui wanted to compete with Master Liaowu. On the other hand, he was fond of fine wine, so he naturally had to get his hands on such a mellow wine. Yun Chuzhou was proud of herself. When she was attending the banquet at the Bitter Zen sect, she found Xian Hui drinking one cup after another. Moreover, whether it was dinner yesterday or lunch today, Yuanji had prepared a small pot of spirit wine for Xian Hui. This Xian Hui was obviously a drunkard. As for Master Liaowu, although he didn't drink as much as Xian Hui, he would still drink a few cups at every banquet. In addition, this wine wasn't available on the market, so he would naturally be tempted. Although Yun Chuzhou was feeling proud in her heart, she had a troubled expression on her face and didn't say anything for a long time. It wasn't until Xian Hui was waiting anxiously that Yun Chuzhou said, Master Liaowu, to tell you the truth, Buddha once gave me a dream and said that Master Xian Hui and I were master and disciple in our previous lives. If we don't resolve this karma, Master Xian Hui and I won't be able to ascend. When Xian Hui heard this, she was immediately delighted. It seemed that this little girl had decided to acknowledge him as her master. But, what you said makes sense. The Bitter Zen sect and the Divine Devil Hall are now in a cooperative relationship. If I acknowledge Master Xian Hui as my master, I'm afraid I will make things difficult for Master Xian Hui. Moreover, Master Liaowu, you have taken care of me many times. The senior brothers of the Zen sect are also very good to me. Sigh, I'm really in a dilemma. I'm so worried. Yun Chujiu said with a sad face. However, the little person in this guy's heart was jumping with joy. One master was also worshipped, and two masters were also worshipped. Let's accept them together. Chapter 5390 was a good idea to have the best of both worlds. Xian Hu's heart was in a mess. He thought that it was a sure thing, but now it seemed that he might really have let old man Wu poach him. However, he didn't make up his mind to break with the Divine Devil Hall, so he didn't know how to explain himself. Master Liaowu knew that the master and disciple karma was fake, but he couldn't ruin Yun Chujia's reputation. Therefore, the situation was in a stalemate. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes, took out 2 wine glasses, and opened the wine jar. She said heroically, "Forget it. Let's talk about the matter of becoming a master later. Let's drink first." As he said this, he poured 2 glasses of wine and respectfully handed them to Xian Hui and Master Liaowu. The two of them had been craving for it for a long time. Naturally, they wanted to quench their craving first. Thus, the two of them didn't say anything and took the wine glasses and drank. After drinking a cup of wine, not only did they not satisfy their craving, they were even more tempted. Fortunately, Yun Chujiu filled the cups for the two of them again. She even took out a few plates of vegetarian dishes as the dishes to go with the wine. In the beginning, it was Yun Chujiu who helped persuade them to drink. Later on, there was no need for Yun Chujiu to speak at all. Xian Hui and Master Liaowu started to toast each other. Hei Xinjiu blinked her eyes and deliberately opened the window next to the street. When she saw someone poking his head out from the second floor of the inn across the street, the corners of his mouth curled up. He deliberately moved to the side and revealed the 2 people who were exchanging cups. Then, he hurriedly closed the window. The corners of his mouth curled up. She was sure that after this incident, the Divine Devil Hall would be very suspicious of Xian Hui. Even if Xian Hui was covered in her mouth, she couldn't explain it clearly. When Xian Hui and Master Liaowu were in the midst of their drunken mood, Yun Chujiu sighed and said, "I still have a few jars of this wine. After I take you as my master, I will give them all to my master. However, both of you are pretty good. I don't know who I should take you as my master." Xian Hui and Liaowu naturally had another argument. Xian Hui was provoked by Liaowu and said with a hint of drunkenness, "Little girl, aren't you just worried about the Divine Devil Hall? To tell you the truth, I have long had enough of the Divine Devil Hall's cowardice. Sooner or later, I will find an opportunity to completely break with the Divine Devil Hall. Just take me as your master." Hearing that, Yun Chujiu immediately said happily, "Really? That's great. But, I am only one person, I can't split into 2. Otherwise, I might as well take you 2 as my masters. As for the fine wine, how about you guys split it equally?" As Yun Chujiu said this, she directly took out 4 wine jars and placed them on the ground. Xian Hui and Master Liaowu had already drunk quite a lot of wine. Although they were still rational, they were still slightly tipsy. For a moment, they felt that Yun Chujiu's idea of having the best of both worlds was not bad. The two of them stared at the wine jar on the ground and nodded in agreement. Yun Chujiu deliberately led the two of them to say a few more words. Then, she turned off the recording stone in her hand, and a sinister smile appeared on her face. This fellow had achieved his goal, so he simply put away the wine jar and advised them, "Masters, the Zhongxiao festival is about to begin tomorrow. Don't drink anymore so as to avoid causing trouble." Although Xian Hui and Kuai Wu weren't very happy, but fortunately, their wine was good, so they didn't insist. Yun Chujiu asked Yuan Ji to bring the hangover soup for the two to drink, then asked Yuan Ji to help them onto the bed. Soon, the two fell asleep. Yuanji's eyes were wide open. He felt that the world changed too quickly. Wasn't his master and Master Liaowu sworn enemies? Why were they drinking and chatting happily? In the end, they even slept on the same bed. Chapter 5391 was determined not to admit it. Yun Chuzhou was afraid that something unexpected would happen, so she asked Yuanji to stay with her in the house. Yuanji held it in for a while, but he couldn't hold it in anymore, so he asked, "Junior sister Yun, did you have a hard life in the past?" Yun Chuzhou didn't know where his brainless words came from, but she still said, "Whether it's hard or not depends on what the person thinks. I think it's still pretty good. At least I'm alive and kicking now. I'm already very satisfied." Yuanji sighed in his heart. Junior sister Yun was really optimistic. He asked again, "Then do you hate master?" Yun Chuzhou looked at him in confusion and then said, "It's not really about whether I hate him or not. It turns out that our positions are different, so there's naturally some conflict. But in the future, he will be my master. No matter how wrong he is, I won't say anything." Yuanji nodded repeatedly. "Junior sister Yun, you are right to think that way. Master must have his own difficulties. It is great that you and your daughter are reunited." Yun Chuzhou, father, daughter, Tuan Yuan? This Yuanji must be an idiot, right? No wonder he sounded weird. So he thought she was Xian Hu's daughter? How blind was he? Other things aside, how could Xian Hu's stupid brain give birth to such a smart daughter? After Yuanji found out that he had misunderstood, his face immediately flushed red, but he was even more confused. Since Yun Chuzhou had nothing to do with Master, why was Master so good to her? Did he really want to take her as a little girl as a disciple? However, this was not impossible. After all, his master and Master Liaowu slept on the same bed. When Master Liaowu and Xian Hui woke up, it was already evening. The two of them opened their eyes and almost screamed when they saw each other beside them. It was really a ghost. When the two of them were still in a daze, they heard Yun Chuzhou say clearly, "The two masters are awake?" Senior brother Yuanji, quickly send some kanjin side dishes over so that the two masters can sober up. Yuanji had already been knocked unconscious by the words "two masters." Was he mistaken, or did Yun Chuzhou say something wrong? It should be the two sect masters. How could it be the two masters? Sect Master Liaowu and Xian Hui were also stunned. Then, they recalled some fragments, and both of them were somewhat annoyed. The two of them were usually very vigilant. How could they be drunk by this little girl today? Moreover, they had agreed to take this little girl as a disciple together. This was not just taking her as a disciple. In this way, the outside world would definitely think that the Zen sect and the bitter Zen sect had formed an alliance. Xian Hui and Master Liaowu looked at each other. For the first time, the two of them had reached an agreement and refused to admit it. Therefore, Master Liaowu rubbed his temples and said, "Little Nine, this apprenticeship is not child's play. You can only choose one of us." Xian Hui also echoed, "That's right. You can choose either me or him. You can't choose two." Yun Chuzhou immediately laughed when she heard this. Her smile was extremely brilliant. Xian Hui and Master Liaowu looked at each other. This little girl was crazy, right? Yun Chuzhou did not speak either. Instead, she activated the recording stone and a voice came from within. "Yun Chuzhou, Master Liaowu, Master Xian Hui, is it true that you want to accept me as a successor disciple together? You won't deny it in the future, right?" Master Liaowu, Amitba. Monks don't lie. Naturally, they won't go back on their word. Xian Hui, if I say anything, Xian Hui will naturally not go back on my word. Yun Chuzhou, all right, since the two masters are so resolute, then this matter is settled. If anyone goes back on their word and doesn't go back on their word, then it will be a turtle bastard. After seeing her, he asked hurriedly, "Why did Master Liao go to the Uli Inn? What happened?" Yun Chujiu yawned. "It's not a big deal. It's just that I took in Master Xian Hui and Master Liao as my masters. The Zen sect and the Zen sect have formed an alliance. The patriarch of the Lan family, the Zen sect and the Zen sect had formed an alliance. This was not a big deal. This would have a far-reaching impact on the situation of the Chongshao continent. Perhaps because of this change, the entire Chongshao continent would be stirred up." "Wait, what did she say just now? She took in Master Xian Hui and Master Liao as her master? Why did these words feel so strange? Usually, they would take in disciples. Why did she become their master?" The Lan family's ancestor only recovered after a long time. He asked curiously, "Why did Master Xian Hui and Master Liao agree to take you in as their disciple together?" Yun Chujiu yawned again and said naturally, "Maybe it's because I'm too outstanding." Chapter 5393 Beautiful Dreams. Although the Lan family's patriarch felt that Yun Chujiu's smug appearance was very annoying, he couldn't help but exclaim at her intelligence. She actually used only 2 days to incite Xian Hui and even let him take her in as a successor disciple. If this were to be spread out, no one would believe it at all. Not to mention the others, even he felt that it was like a dream. Seeing that Yun Chujiu kept yawning, the old ancestor of the Lan family did not ask further and let her return to her room. Yun Chujiu was very tired. She washed up briefly and then went to bed to rest. Although the others looked like she easily incited Xian Hui to betray her, every scheme did not come out of thin air. She had to think hard and only she knew the hardships involved. She did not know if it was because she was excited about her wish. Although she kept yawning, Yun Chujiu tossed and turned in bed for a long time. She only fell asleep in the second half of the night. Early the next morning, Yun Chujiu was woken up by Lan Luofang. "Little Jiu, hurry up. Otherwise, it will be too late." Yun Chujiu resisted the urge to get up. She left the room with a gloomy face. She did not even wash her face. Lan Luofang had a lot to say, but when she saw Yun Chujiu's dead look, she immediately shut her mouth and didn't say anything. Seeing Yun Chujiu like this, the ancestor of the Lan family knew that Yun Chujiu probably didn't sleep well last night. He said with a pleasant face, "When we get to the venue, you can catch up on your sleep." Lan Luofang and the others felt sour in their hearts. If they were like this, the ancestor would have reprimanded them long ago. However, when they came to Little Jiu, it became a comfort. Comparing people was really infuriating. They did not know that He Xinjiu had accomplished a big thing yesterday. Not to mention just getting up in a fit of anger, even if she had smashed the inn, the ancestor of the Lan family would have thought that it was a good smash. After the Lan family had a simple breakfast, they left Four Seasons City and headed straight for the Four Seasons mountain range. The venue of the Chongshao festival was set at the foot of the Four Seasons mountain range. Many people had already gathered to watch the show. After the Lan family members sat in the designated area, Yun Chujiu glanced around and closed her eyes to catch up on her sleep. This fellow often dreamed, and today was no exception. Although it was just a nap, she still had dreams. However, today's dream was somewhat pleasant. She actually dreamed that there were a lot of spiritual stones buried under the seat, and then she became rich and walked to the peak of her life. She married a gigolo, slept with him every day, and gave birth to a bunch of little ones. Just when this fellow was extremely beautiful, he was woken up by the noise. This fellow opened his eyes in confusion and found that he was currently at the venue of the Great Firmament Territory Assembly. He immediately sighed. So it was a dream. The noise just now was because Palace Master Long of the Divine Devil Hall had arrived. Of course, Palace Master Long was only the Palace Master of this branch of the Heavy Cloud Continent. Even so, as Palace Master Long rarely showed his face, everyone craned their necks to see what Palace Master Long looked like. Palace Master Long wore a red mask on his face, and judging from his figure, he should be an old man. Yun Shujo curled her lips. The Divine Devil Hall loved to be mysterious, and they were all shameless people. Just as she was cursing in her heart, Palace Master Long had already walked onto the high platform. Everyone, we have the honor to invite all the mighty figures of the Divine Enlightenment Continent to this great firmament gala. I would like to give you a grand introduction. Master Wu Ben of the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall, Vice-Chancellor Duanmu of the 10 Directions Academy, Vice-Chancellor Mo of the Divine Enlightenment Academy, Vice-General Sima of the Iron Blood Killing Alliance, and Chancellor Qi of the 10,000 Cities Alliance. Chapter 5394 Digging for Fun. Yun Shujo squinted her eyes as she listened. Normally, such a list would be read according to the status of the power from high to low. Then, the names that were read earlier were obviously the top powers. And she learned from Master Liaowu that the status of the Wu generation in the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall was not low. By the same reasoning, the status of the people from other powers who came to participate would not be too low. Then, the question arose. How could a grand meeting on a lower continent be able to invite these people? Was it because of the fame and power of the Divine Devil Hall, or was it because they had other motives? Yun Shujo heard the name of the 1,000 Feet sect at the end of the list. She thought to herself, it seemed that her previous deduction was right. The 1,000 Feet sect was a low-level force in the Divine Enlightenment Continent. No wonder Qi Dong compromised so easily. To the people of the Heavy Cloud Continent, the people of the Divine Enlightenment Continent were almost the same as immortals. Therefore, after Palace Master Long read out the list, they burst into applause. However, those people from the Divine Enlightenment Continent who were sitting in the VIP seats didn't say anything, because in their eyes, the people of the Heavy Cloud Continent were just ants. If it weren't for the matter brought up by the Divine Devil Hall, they wouldn't have come to the Heavy Cloud Continent in such a condescending manner. Palace Master Long said a few more pleasantries before returning to his seat. At this moment, Qi Dong walked onto the high platform and said, "Everyone, the Heavy Cloud Grand Meeting this time can be said to be unprecedented. Not only has it provided everyone with a platform for exchange, but there are also 10 spots for direct ascension. There will definitely be people who will be concerned about the conditions of these 10 spots. Everyone, don't be impatient. When the time is ripe, I will naturally inform everyone. As today is the first day of the grand meeting of the Great Firmament, we have arranged some entertainment for everyone. I hope that everyone will be satisfied." After Qi Dong left, several disciples of the Divine Devil Hall went up to the stage and began to compete. Of course, this kind of competition was mainly about performance. It was even deliberately made to be a little comical, causing the people below to cheer. Yun Shujo really could not figure out what the Divine Devil Hall was up to. They had summoned everyone with great fanfare just to watch this? Just as Yun Shujo was cursing in her heart, she felt an unfriendly gaze. She looked up and saw a person in the VIP seats staring at her fiercely. The corners of her lips curled up. This person was from the 1,000 Feet sect. Was it because the two people who had died hated her? It seemed that Qi Dong had played an important role in this. Yun Shujo retracted her gaze without a trace and closed her eyes to continue sleeping. It would be best if she could continue the beautiful dream that she had been interrupted earlier. Unfortunately, perhaps it was because the stage was too noisy, this fellow could not fall asleep even after brewing for a while. This fellow closed his eyes to reminisce about the beautiful dream from before. He did not know what was wrong with him, but he had a whim to see if there were really spirit stones under this seat. What if his dream came true? It had to be said that this fellow had nothing to do. This fellow squatted on the ground, took out a large kitchen knife, and began to dig. Lan Luofang and Lan Luoyen, who were sitting next to her, were completely dumbfounded. "Little Jiu, we are here to participate in the Chong Shao festival, not to dig. How free are you? Digging for fun when you have nothing to do." A lot of people's attention was on the performance on the high platform. Not many people saw Yunchuji's behavior, but the guards in charge of keeping an eye on Yunchujo saw it. The guard who was keeping an eye on Yunchuji's behavior immediately changed his expression and hurriedly reported it to Qi Dong. Chapter 5395 Food Delivery. When Qi Dong heard the report from the guard, his face immediately turned ugly. The first thought that came to his mind was, could there be a spy in the Divine Devil Hall? However, he felt that it was unlikely. After all, everyone who knew about it had been planted with a spiritual imprint. There was no way for them to tell the truth. Then, the question came. How did Yunchujo know that there was a formation underground? Could it be that she was proficient in formations? It shouldn't be. This formation was an ancient formation that had already been lost. Even many of the mighty figures present did not discover it. How did she discover it? Qi Dong was anxious and angry. He wished that he could bring Yunchujo over to interrogate her. However, he could not do that under the watchful eyes of everyone. Moreover, if that wretched girl only dug a few times out of her free time, if he mobilized too much, it would instead alert the snake. What should he do? It was best to think of a way to divert her attention and also take the opportunity to test if she had noticed anything. Thus, he gave a few orders to his subordinates. Very soon, people from the Divine Devil Hall sent a lot of tea and spirit fruits to the VIP seats and the seats of the major forces. In particular, the number of tea and spirit fruits given to the people of the Lan family was obviously higher than the other forces. Seeing that there was food, Yunchujo put away the large kitchen knife, wiped her hands, and picked up a piece of cake to eat. Although she felt that the Divine Devil Hall definitely had bad intentions in arranging this great firmament event, she felt that the Divine Devil Hall would not be so stupid as to openly poison them. As expected, she found that there was nothing fishy about the tea and spiritual fruits. Moreover, the taste was not bad. Qi Dong saw that Yunchujo stopped digging and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. It seemed that the stinky girl only dug because she had nothing better to do, causing him a false alarm. She would probably stop digging after this interruption. However, he soon saw that after the food was gone, the stinky girl actually continued digging. Qi Dong was so angry that he gritted his teeth and could only order his subordinates to send another batch of tea and spirit fruits to the Lan family. Hei Xinjiu saw that more food had been sent over. She hurriedly put away the large kitchen knife and started eating and drinking again. When the food was gone, she continued to dig. Qi Dong had no choice but to send food to the Lan family again and again. He was also afraid that Yunchujo would get tired of eating, so he changed the way he sent food every time. At first, the members of the Lan family did not feel anything unusual, but later on, they found out that only the Lan family had this kind of treatment, so they were a little puzzled. This time, they were being too courteous by giving them food. Even the VIP seats were not as good as their treatment. Wasn't the Divine Devil Hall not on good terms with the Lan family? Why were they being treated so well? The other factions also found out and could not help but feel displeased. Was the Divine Devil Hall planning to rope in the Lan family? Qi Dong also felt that doing so seemed a little conspicuous and he had to think of another way. It was best to get that smelly girl to leave her seat so that she would not continue digging there. However, the time was not ripe yet, so he couldn't carry out the next step of the plan. How could he get her to leave her seat? When Qi Dong's gaze swept over the VIP seats, his eyes flashed with ruthlessness, and he immediately had an idea. Thus, after a performance, Qi Dong went up to the high platform. He cleared his throat, then, he said, "Everyone, a few days ago, an unpleasant incident happened in Four Seasons City. Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui of the Thousand Feet sect in the Divine Enlightenment continent had a conflict with Yun Chuzhou of the Lan family. Later on, a group fight broke out, causing Lu Yuanli and Lu Tianrui to lose their lives on the spot. Although this matter was settled by my mediation, Elder Lu of the Thousand Feet sect still has some doubts about it. He wants to ask Yun Chuzhou some details in person. Please come up to the stage, to put an end to this matter. Chapter 5396. Not feeling well. As soon as Qi Dong finished speaking, the crowd began to clamor. Some knew and some didn't. However, everyone felt that the Lan family was most likely going to be unlucky. With 2 people dead, how could the people of the Thousand Feet sect let it go? Previously, the Divine Devil Hall had said that they would explain things clearly to the Thousand Feet sect. Now, it seemed that it wasn't the case. No wonder the Divine Devil Hall had sent so many pastries and spiritual fruits to the Lan family. Could it be that they were guilty? The Lan family's patriarch had never thought that Qi Dong would come up with such a trick. They had clearly finished the negotiation that day, but today, he had said something vague. How outrageous. However, the current situation was different from that time. Besides the Thousand Feet sect, there were other forces in the Divine Enlightenment continent. If they were not careful, the Lan family might not exist anymore. Just as the patriarch of the Lan family was burning with anxiety, Yun Chuzhou put away her kitchen knife, wiped her hands, and left her seat slowly, walking toward the high platform. Seeing Yun Chuzhou's carefree look, the patriarch of the Lan family calmed down a lot of the panic and anxiety in his heart. Forget it. Although this troublemaker could cause trouble, he could always find a way to survive. He would wait and see. At this moment, Elder Lu of the Thousand Feet sect had already arrived on the high platform. This Elder Lu was the person who had previously stared at Yun Chuzhou with an unfriendly gaze. The dead Lu Yuanli was Elder Lu's grandson. Originally, Lu Yuanli should have rushed to the Chongshao continent with him yesterday, but Lu Yuanli insisted on coming here in advance. He felt that no one in the Chongshao continent would dare to provoke Lu Yuanli, hence, he agreed. Who would have thought that he would receive the news of his grandson being beaten to death? Although Qi Dong had told him what had happened, in Elder Lu's eyes, Yun Chuzhou was just an ant. It was a great fortune for his grandson to take a fancy to her. This bitch Yun Chuzhou actually dared to incite others to beat his grandson to death. She deserved to die. Therefore, he went up to the high platform and had already made a plan in his heart. As long as Yun Chuzhou went up the platform, he would directly beat her to death. He would not waste time talking to her. However, after Yun Chuzhou left her seat, her speed was about the same as a snail. It took her almost 15 minutes to reach the bottom of the high platform. The anger in Elder Lu's heart intensified. He clenched his right hand tightly and waited for Yun Chuzhou to go up the platform to attack. However, he heard a clear voice, Elder Lu, I'm not feeling well and don't have the strength to jump onto the stage. If you have any questions, just ask. I can hear it from below the stage anyway. Elder Lu never thought that Yun Chuzhou would say this. If she didn't step onto the stage, how would he deal with her? Could it be that he had lowered his status and jumped off the stage to kill her? Thus, he looked at Qi Dong. Qi Dong understood and immediately got someone to bring a ladder. Miss Yun, please. The guard said respectfully. Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to slowly climb up the ladder to the stage. Elder Lu's eyes flashed with killing intent. He raised his hand and before he used his spiritual power, he heard Yun Chuzhou scream and fall off the stage. Yun Chuzhou opened her eyes, with difficulty, and spat out a mouthful of blood. The crowd immediately burst into an uproar. Heavens, isn't that Elder Lu too shameless? Yun Chuzhou just went up and was severely injured by him. That's right, he didn't even ask any questions, yet he attacked her. It's obvious that he's aiming for revenge. And he's even from the divine enlightenment continent, how shameless. No wonder his grandson was beaten to death. From the looks of it, his grandson isn't a good person either. You're right. His grandson provoked the public's anger because he molested Miss Yun. He deserves to be beaten to death. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.